Okay. Good evening, friends. In the last class, we had seen non-financial performance measures for evaluating the performance of a business unit, and various non-financial measures with the help of diagrams and charts we had shown. There was one block diagram, there was performance pyramid, then there was performance prism, and also we had balance scorecard and triple bottom line as measures of performance, and that is non-financial measures of performance. So just to recap or revise what we learned in the last class, financial measures and non-financial measures of performance evaluation. In financial measures, we had understanding of ROI, RI, and EVA, return on investment, residual income, and economic value added. These were the measures of performance, financial measures of performance. In non-financial measures of performance, we had performance pyramid, then performance prism, then balance scorecard, then we have triple bottom line, and we had block diagram. So all measures of performance evaluation are used in conjunction with one another by the top management. No management can afford to concentrate only on one method or one technique. Multiple methods are used at a given point of time, and overall performance evaluation takes place. So it's a holistic view or a comprehensive view of performance evaluation. We also had understood the concept of benchmarking. Benchmarking is setting up the standards as per the competitor analysis. So carry out a detailed analysis of competitors' business success model, why the business of the competitor is succeeding, has succeeded all these years and has flourished so well. What are the plus points and what are the areas of improvement in my own business? My business needs some revamping, some streamlining. So what are those processes which I need to streamline so that I can also prosper in my business? So we have different types of benchmarking, product benchmarking and process benchmarking. Within process benchmarking, we had understood internal benchmarking, strategic benchmarking, global benchmarking, and so on. Benchmarking is basically a practice. It's a very good practice of doing a competitor analysis of the competitor's business model of the competitor, and replicating the same strategies what competitor has used in his business for successful business at our end. Of course, with little modifications, with slight changes, and that is required because every business operates under different circumstances, different situation. So when our business is operating under one set of conditions, the benchmarking practices which we are trying to follow or adapt from the competitor obviously will have to be modified, will have to be fine-tuned, suiting our own requirements. And that is what is benchmarking, which is practiced in real life. Now, after studying of financial as well as non-financial measures of performance evaluation, along with benchmarking, we will also have understanding of the last topic in the syllabus, and that is how do we measure performance of a unit, a business unit, particularly which is not into profit making as the core objective, but it is for not-for-profit organizations. So the topic is how to do performance measurement for a non-profit organization. I'll just share the screen. What are the examples of non-profit organizations? This is the topic. It is in front of you. Performance measurement in not-for-profit sector. Not-for-profit sector, obviously, these are the causes which are philanthropic causes or social causes. Social causes for the benefit of the society, people at large. That means providing education, quality education to people, providing good healthcare services, infrastructure development for development of the economy, looking for the environmental causes. That now we have the pandemic situation outside, and therefore how to save the patients from this disease and how to cure this disease. What are the remedies? So for charitable causes, so many institutions are working. So we have not-for-profit organizations which are set up mainly with philanthropic objective or with social causes, namely healthcare, education, infrastructure development, environmental causes, charitable causes, and so on. These bodies or these organizations obviously are not into profit making. They are working on no profit, no loss basis. So whatever fees they charge to the customer, whatever nominal amount what they recover from the customer is only to spend on the activities what they have undertaken. The examples of these bodies are hospitals, you have voluntary organizations, NGOs, non-government organizations, you have charitable organizations. Now they are mainly working for the benefit of people and no profit, no loss. The major source of income for all the charitable organizations is obviously from members and also from donors. That is the main source of income for the charitable organizations. That is amount received from patrons, amount received from donors, and also the members. This amount has to be appropriated. This amount has to be utilized, obviously, for the benefit of the society. And therefore, there has to be transparency in the entire utilization of funds. So funds which are acquired in the form of donations, charities, financial assistance will have to be utilized, will have to be spent on the society at large for the benefit of people at large. And there has to be some sort of accountability to the donors, some sort of responsibility, transparency in your reporting as to how the funds are utilized. So in that sense, non-profit organizations are also accountable to the stakeholders, and therefore there arises the question of performance measurement. See, one can think of why there is a performance measurement that is required in cases of non-profit organizations. Are the traditional techniques like ROI, RI, return on net assets, economic value added, these are generally the techniques which are used for profit organizations because they have the ultimate objective of maximizing shareholders' wealth, and therefore we use these techniques in profit organizations. But in not-for-profit organizations, since they are focused on certain causes, they are not concerned with the financial returns, and therefore performance measurement all the more not-for-profit organization. This is the introductory part you must understand. For example, I'll give you an example over here when the institution or organization is providing free education to poor children, right? And back to poor children with specific mission to give access to those who are deprived of the education. Now, obviously, funding is done by the donors and members, but it is difficult to measure to what extent your children are happy or satisfied with the learning that has taken place. Definitely in the financial measures, it is not possible to quantify the satisfaction level of the children. We know that we are providing free education to children. We are spending on their education or higher studies, and it is a part of CSR, corporate social responsibility. So in case of not-for-profit organizations, apart from financial measures or over and above financial measures, non-financial measures are equally important. Financial measures are important because you are accountable to the donors and patrons the amount for charity. So whether their funds are being appropriated for right purpose or not, that has to be assured to them, and that there has to be a transparency in the reporting by not-for-profit organizations. And as far as individuals, the affected parties are concerned, that is the children in this case, they also have to be satisfied in terms of providing education to them and free of cost education. So their satisfaction level is important. So non-financial measures also come into play. Now there are certain challenges which are encountered by the management in doing performance evaluation for a not-for-profit organization. So we first understand what are the challenges. Key challenges are shown in the matrix like this. Key challenges faced by the not-for-profit organizations in making the perform to quantify in monetary terms what are the benefits which are received by the final users, the end users. It is very different satisfaction level of children, satisfaction level of patients in monetary terms. Right? So benefits cannot be quantified. And benefits may accrue over a long term. That's the second point. The amount which a charitable organization is spending or is investing, this investment is one-time investment, but the benefits will accrue over a long period of time. Take, for example, a hospital investing in IC. Hello. Yes, you have the benefits accruing over a long period of time. That means hospital investing in ICU, intensive care unit, for example. This investment is made, yes. Hello. Should I go to MTNL network? Hello. Should I go to MTNL network? I don't know why there is a problem today with this fiber. Shall I switch over to... Hello, am I audible? Okay. Which screen? Configure screen. Yeah, this one, no? Share the screen. Share the screen. Yeah, that I'm sharing the screen. अभी visible है ना? हाँ. Okay, now it is visible. Okay. So benefits may accrue over a longer term. The investment is made by the hospital in ICU, intensive care unit, and that is a one-time investment that is made. But of course, the benefits will accrue over a long term. So direct mapping of cost with revenue, the expenditure with income, it is difficult to make, at least for the year, because benefits are over long period of time and expenditure is incurred in 1 year. So measurement of performance in real sense is very difficult. The third challenge or a bottleneck which is encountered by the management is measurement of utilization of funds and expenditure. Measurement of utilization of funds and expenditure. How the funds are appropriated for different activities. There may be a MIS report that may be given by the hospital that we have ensured that the funds collected are appropriated like this. But measuring this utilization and mapping it with the income directly on 1:1 basis may be a difficult exercise. And last point is multiple objectives. So any charitable organization is working for many causes, many philanthropic causes or social causes, and it is not possible to concentrate only on one objective at a time. So that also could be a hindrance. The prioritization of objective. One objective may be given more priority vis-a-vis the other objective. That is also possible. Right? So these are some of the bottlenecks or difficulties encountered by the management at the time of measuring the performance in case of not-for-profit organizations. Right? This also happens in case of hospital when organization might be spending money for providing, say, ambulance services to the patient. Now, the ambulance service is provided to save the lives of the patient, and ambulance has to reach the patient's residence or, wherever it is desired at the right time. If the ambulance doesn't reach at the right time, probably it may result in fatal damage or it may result in the death of the patient. So how fast you are able to respond to the request made by the patient's relatives while sending the ambulance, and thereby the recovery rate of the patient, the damage rate, otherwise opposite of recovery rate, of course damage rate, and so on. So difficult to evaluate performance for not-for-profit organizations using financial measures because benefits cannot be quantified. That is most important reason. Second is they accrue over a long period of time. Measuring utilization of funds and expenditure, what happens is management generally has a tendency to spend the money for the various purposes for the social cause, because only if they show that they have spent the amount for social cause, they will get the charity or donation. The donation or charity which is received is always conditional. That means subject to fulfillment of terms and conditions. And one of the terms is, of course, the pattern of spending. Right? The utilization of fund has to be shown to the donors that we are utilizing your funds, and then only the next round of donation or next cycle or next phase of donation will come. So in order to meet the expectations of donors or in order to satisfy them, the management may resort to a very unethical practice. Sometimes, it may not happen every time, sometimes unethical practice of spending the amount, whether needed or not needed, for various purposes, and to reach or achieve the expenditure target. Once you achieve the target expenditure, obviously then you will be in a position to get next round of donation. So this kind of approach or attitude may defeat the purpose, right, of the charity for which this charitable organization has been set up. And multiple objectives. So this we discussed prioritization of multiple objectives. So if you want to identify what are the major 4 bottlenecks or difficulties which are encountered by the top management of a not-for-profit organization for evaluation of performance or measurement of performance, these are the 4 challenges which are highlighted in this diagram. Benefits cannot be quantified. Most important, in financial terms or monetary terms, benefits may accrue over a long term. Right? When expenditure is incurred in the first year, benefits may be in more than 1 year. Measurement of utilization of fund and expenditure, right, at the cost of assessing the requirement, whether their funds are required to be spent or not, they will be spent anyhow to get the next round of donation, and then the prioritization of multiple objectives. And therefore, we have a special model which is used generally for not-for-profit organizations, and that is value for money framework. Now, this is something which is used by most of the non-profit organizations to evaluate their performance or measure their performance. It is called VFM, value for money framework. Value for money framework. What is this value for money? Whatever amount you are spending for the benefit of people, say patients, say downtrodden people, people below the poverty line, then amount spent for them generates value for them. Not only that, money which is provided by the donors, by the members, they also get value in terms of satisfaction level that yes, money is being appropriated for the right purpose. And this is the diagram which is generally drawn in the context of value for money framework, VFM framework. So we have economy, efficiency, and effectiveness. Right? Very classic diagram. Economy, efficiency, and effectiveness. You can see this. What is economy? Economy is obviously maintaining economy in spending, in incurring the cost. Right? Wherever you have spent the amount, always you should maintain the economy. That means unwarranted expenditure, unnecessary expenditure should be avoided. And providing health services to the patients, but of course at reasonable cost, can be achieved if your own costs are kept under control. If hospital itself carries out its operations in the form of an extravaganza is unnecessary expenditure, unwarranted expenditure, then obviously its cost will go up, and then it will not be able to provide services at reasonable prices, right, to the patients. So you have to maintain economy in your functioning. When you talk about efficiency, it is efficient use of resources. The resources which are at the disposal of not-for-profit organization, whether the skilled manpower, whether the equipments, machinery, all the utilities, they have to be used in an efficient manner. That means at minimum cost, they should provide maximum output. This is how we measure the efficiency. Maximum output at minimum cost. That is optimal utilization of resources. Efficiency in resource utilization. That is minimum cost and maximum output. And then we have effectiveness. Effectiveness is final end result or final outcome. That means the satisfaction level of the end user and effectiveness in the service which we are providing to the end users. So the three questions which answer these 3 points, economy, efficiency and effectiveness. This model is called value for money framework. Value for money framework. Are you providing value addition to your users, end users, and that too for the money what they are paying? The patients are paying a reasonable price, a nominal cost. Are they getting value in terms of satisfaction, in terms of effectiveness in delivery, etc., etc. When we talk about effectiveness, whether organization has achieved its desired mission and objectives. That is the first question which is asked. Whether final goals, final objectives or desired mission has been able to achieve. That is called effectiveness. Otherwise, the whole purpose of setting up a charitable organization, that is futile. That is of no use if we are not able to achieve the final mission, desired mission and objective. That is effectiveness. Right? When we talk about efficiency, I mentioned to you, resources and funds which are available to the organization, have they been utilized efficiently? Right? You have resources at your disposal in terms of equipments, machines, manpower, and also the funds which are made available from the patrons and the donors. So are they utilized efficiently in the right manner or not? So maximum output which has been obtained with minimum input. Maximum output at minimum input. That is what is efficiency. And third one is economy. In fact, economy comes at the beginning itself because you are supposed to maintain all your operations within the given cost, within the target cost. So economy, where the desired output has been obtained using the lowest cost. The economy means having the lowest cost of operation, then only desired output can be achieved at a reasonable price to the final consumer. So lowest cost approach should not compromise the quality. That goes without saying. On one hand, there's always a trade-off or a paradox. And it's a typical situation that when you are trying to lower down the cost, trying to optimize the reuse of resources and lowering the cost, the quality may get hampered. Right? That quality should not suffer. Quality of the finished product, the quality of the service which you are providing to the end user should not get hampered, because that is the purpose of setting up a charitable organization. So three things are clear to all of you: economy, efficiency and effectiveness. This model is called value for money framework. Model means it's a framework, it's a broad framework. These three parameters are kept at the back of mind by the management of not-for-profit organization, and on these three parameters they measure the performance of the not-for-profit organization: economy, efficiency and effectiveness. Now we have case studies given in our module as well as in our separate resource material that is available. Board of Studies has already published a number of case scenarios, caselets, etc. Some of them we will be using in our discussion also. This is the last topic. Let me finish this topic and thereafter we will understand some case studies or case scenarios for analysis. So let's take example of a charitable school. We are on the topic value for money framework, which is used for not-for-profit organizations. Value for money framework, which is used for not-for-profit organizations. Let's consider a school which provides free education to children who come from below the poverty line families. Below the poverty, it should be poverty. There is a spelling mistake here. Below the poverty line, it should be poverty and not property. Please correct this in your module. So let's consider a case of a school which provides free education to children who come from below the poverty line families. Now, school also provides free lunch to the students to encourage daily attendance. Right? That is generally the practice. If you see in rural areas, many companies have adopted the entire village Many companies have adopted the entire village as a part of their CSR, and they spend huge amount on nourishment of children in the school. And children are made to come to the school, attend the school. They provide breakfast, morning healthy breakfast to the children. That is how the children are tempted to attend the school. Otherwise, there will be dropout. So breakfast ke bahane, actually because they don't have even proper nourishment, they don't even afford the healthy nourishment or healthy snacks, breakfast in the morning. So in the school, when something like this is provided, with that incentive, they come to the school and simultaneously also have undergo learning. So it's a very good cause, a social cause for which this school has been set up in our rural areas. So now when the trustees of the school, when they are looking at the performance evaluation or performance measurement, they will look into these three aspects: effectiveness, efficiency, and economy. So how this is brought into place with the help of value for money framework, it is a very classic case. So I thought of bringing it before you, and it is very self-explanatory. A measure of effectiveness. How do you count effectiveness in case of a charitable school? Whether school has been able to provide quality education to desired number of students. There are occasions when the dropout of the students is at a very high rate in rural areas. Initial few days, the children may join the school, they may start coming to the school, but slowly, because of the priorities, because of low level of interest, they may stop coming to the school. And after some months, they may drop out from the school. In fact, year to year, the percentage of dropout may increase. Now, this is not a good sign. The school should be in a position to retain the students permanently, at least for next 10 years, from first standard to 10th standard, since they take the admission in the school. So if it is a school till 10th standard, then they should be able to provide that quality education to all the children up to 10 years, from first standard to 10th standard minimum. And in fact, you should encourage the children to study high by going to the college. So what is the dropout percentage of children from the school on year-to-year basis? How many students have completed successfully 10th standard, 12th standard? These are the milestones in your education path. How many students have completed the junior college and gone to the degree college and going for higher studies even thereafter? Now, these are probably the quantifiable measures. So having set up the school, and because it is functional all these years, management can devise a sort of MIS, management information system, wherein you can track this information on year to year, percentage of students dropping out, percentage of children passing out 10th standard, 12th standard with great success and taking admission for higher studies in degree college, etc., etc. Right? So basket of facilities which is provided by the school, is it being availed by the children? Is it being availed by the students? So are we able to retain the student? This is ultimately the effectiveness. So in spite of this also, it may happen that school has tried its best at providing quality education, but in spite of this, the students may drop out from the school. Now, this is something which is not within the control of the trustees. Right? Beyond certain point, you cannot help it. So it's again a challenging task. So now you understand how performance measurement is a challenging task in a not-for-profit organization. We try our best to quantify the effectiveness in terms of percentage of dropouts, percentage of students going for higher studies, so on and so forth, as a part of MIS. But still, maintaining this track record and doing an effective comparison on Y-to-Y basis, year-to-year basis, becomes a challenge, because students may still leave the school or higher studies in spite of children may leave the school in spite of school doing all the efforts for the children, right? Because of their own priorities or their own lack of interest or some family issues for which school is not responsible, right? So this challenge still remains, but still we try our best. So effectiveness is measured in terms of percentage of students dropped out from the school, percentage of students continuing for higher education, etc., etc. When you are given a case study or a situation in the exam, you are supposed to read between the lines and come out with your valid points, bullet points, one after the other on each of these three parameters. That is effectiveness, efficiency, and economy. On each of these three parameters, you should be able to write 3, 4, 5 points in terms of measures, performance measures They could be financial performance measures. They could be non-financial performance measures. But these parameters have to be kept in mind. Then we have efficiency. Efficiency could be number of students who are trained per hour spent by the teachers. For example, right now the live streaming is going on of the session. So we do not know, maybe initially hundreds of students log on, and thereafter more number of students, it gathers momentum, gathers interest, and large number of students also may join. So how many students you are catering to per hour spent by the teacher? Particularly if it is a physical class, it matters. In online class, really the student teacher ratio does not matter to a large extent in online class. What is this ratios? Student to teacher ratio. Student to teacher ratio is number of students which are catered to, which are attended by one teacher. At a school level, student to teacher ratio should be as low as possible at the school level. That means ideally for 30 students, one teacher, right? And these are the international standards. For 25 to 30 students, there is one teacher. But in India, what happens is because of huge population, large population, because of scarcity of number of good teachers, obviously the student-teacher ratio becomes very high even at school level, right? In places like Mumbai, we have the situation where one class, physical class I'm talking about, consists of around 60 plus students, right? 60 plus at a school level also in each division, and there are multiple divisions. So to that extent, there is no effective learning. A teacher is not in a position to cater to the individual needs of the children, particularly when they are at a growing age, when they are at a immature stage, right? That is at the school level. So we always recommend that at a school level, the student to teacher ratio should be as low as possible. So efficiency can be measured once again in terms of efficient use of resources. We do have sufficient number of teachers to cater to the children. That means, and that is quality teachers who provide quality education to the students, right? So efficiency. And the third one is economy. Economy would be amount spent on maintaining the school premises, amount spent on remuneration to the teachers. This is economy in running the operations of the school. That is very important, right? That means you should be able to provide the same quality, same output to your customers, here the students, at a low cost. Low cost means cost of running the operations, day-to-day operations of the school should be kept as low as possible. That does not mean you will hamper the quality, you will adversely affect the quality. That should not happen. So amount spent on maintaining the school premises, that means the cleanliness, housekeeping, hygiene, etc. at the school level are very important. Just to save on cost, you cannot trade off between the quality and between the cost and the quality. That means the hygiene. Hygiene has to be provided in the school, so the entire premises have to be kept clean, neat, tidy, and for that whatever minimum amount has to be spent that is required. Amount spent on remuneration to teachers, unless you spend reasonable remuneration in line with the industry, you will not be able to attract good teachers, and that is how the quality cannot suffer. So while maintaining the cost, obviously quality is at the priority, and the economy comes when you look at the cost vis-a-vis quality. So amount spent can be compared against budgeted expenditure or the sanction amount. So while preparing the budget itself, the trustees can decide a particular sum allocated for a particular operation, right? Keeping in mind the quality required for efficient running of the operations. So that's all. This is the case study which I wanted to explain to you on charitable school. 3 performance measures to sum up: effectiveness in terms of number of children dropping out from the school, number of children going to the higher going for higher studies, number of children passing out 10-12 standard and joining the degree college. These are the quantifiable performance measures, and that reflects, that indicates effectiveness of the school, the purpose for which the school was set up. The efficiency in terms of number of students trained by the teacher, student-teacher ratio, that is efficient use of resources for the best outcome. And third is economy, maintaining the cost at low level as much as possible, cost of running the operations at low level as much as possible without compromising on quality. prepare this case study, and you should be in a position to write in your own words some additional points also which emerge out of this discussion, right, which revolve around the three parameters, that is effectiveness, efficiency, and one has to balance financial measures with non-financial measures, particularly in case of non-profit organizations. In the above case, if performance is based on cost incurred, if cost is the only criteria at the back of mind, and if performance is measured based on cost, school might decide to cut the necessary expenditure to meet the expenditure budget. Right? If top management gives a target to the functional heads that yes, you have to maintain the cost within the budget, what may happen is the individual managers who are in charge of, say, administration or housekeeping, or you have HR or different functions, may reduce their cost, and that will affect the quality. School might not spend the amount on upkeep of library or computer equipment. You know how important the library or computer lab is in a school nowadays. Students are all on online learning, and they have to be trained in various modules. So obviously computer lab and availability of computer equipment, providing library facility, these are very important things. If management tries to cut on the cost of library, cost of computer equipment, obviously that is detrimental in the long run. So it is very important to balance the financial measures and with non-financial. It is very important to balance the financial measures with non-financial measures, particularly while evaluating the performance of a not-for-profit organization. There is one more model which is worked out, which is adapted balance scorecard, for not-for-profit organization. Kaplan, you remember I had explained to you the balance. I had explained to you the balance scorecard model by Kaplan and Norton on, I think, day before yesterday, and there we had learned various perspectives: financial perspective, then internal business process perspective, then we had understood customer perspective, and fourth one was learning and growth perspective. So all four perspectives are very important. Apart from financial perspective, other three perspectives or other three measures are more important in case of not-for-profit organization. So when we have not-for-profit concern, an NGO, financial performance measures take a second position, whereas the customer focus takes the first position. Now you can see this diagram, adapted balance scorecard. I am showing it to you. This is the adapted balance. Why it is called adapted? Because original balance scorecard had financial perspective at its top, whereas that is the first objective. Then we had looked at, after financial, we had looked at customer. Then we had looked at internal process, business process. And the fourth is innovation, learning and growth perspective. Right, slight modification done by Kaplan in light of measuring the performance of NGOs. Right. Look at this. Instead of financial perspective, now we have customer perspective at the focus. That is on a priority. And customer perspective is on the priority as first one, satisfaction of beneficiary and other stakeholders' interest. That is the prime concern. Who are the beneficiaries? The people for whom this not-for-profit organization is set up. The charitable organization is set up for them. So the beneficiary ultimately should be satisfied. If they have a concern, the end user has a concern, the whole purpose of setting up a charitable organization is defeated. And other stakeholders' interest. Other stakeholders, if you recollect, are donors, patrons, members who are providing the funding for the charitable organization. And charitable organization is not generating funds otherwise than from charity or from donations. So patrons should be satisfied that yes, the purpose for which they are donating the funds is being appropriated for the right cause, for the social cause, and therefore satisfaction of both the people, beneficiary and stakeholders. Beneficiary is the end user and a stakeholder is the patron, donors, and of course the members, right, who are contributing, making their contribution for the charitable cause. So customer perspective is the priority in case of not-for-profit organization, and that is at the top priority in the balanced scorecard. So therefore it is called adapted balanced scorecard. Then comes financial perspective, but again there is a slight modification or variation over here. In profit organizations we had seen financial perspective takes into account ROI, return on investment, RI, residual income, then EVA, economic value added, etc. Now in case of not-for-profit organization, how to measure ROI, how to calculate RI or EVA, it is a bit difficult. So here financial perspective, when we talk about, it is concerned with raising of funds, right? How fast you are able to raise the funds, right, as a part of your usual cycle on a periodic basis from the donors, prospective donors. Are you able to reach a large community of wealthy people, HNIs, who are convinced that if they spend on this activity, that they will of course get the satisfaction and the money is being utilized for the right cause. So swiftness in raising the funds. Then growing the funds, wherever there are surplus funds, of course, the charitable organization can also invest those funds and get some reasonable returns, and distribution of funds, that is allocation of funds. So here you must have seen the change in the focus. Financial perspective do not take form of ROI, RI, EVA. No, it is raising of funds, growth of funds, and then distribution of the funds for the charitable cause. Internal process perspective, original word in Norton and Kaplan's model was internal business process perspective. But all of you understand this is not a business. It is a charitable organization, and therefore we don't use the word business over here. आपने देखा होगा इस internal process से business word हट गया है, because not for profit organization doesn't have any business in terms of profit making. So therefore internal process perspective. Right? Here comes internal efficiency, voluntary development and quality. That means, are you able to develop a team of volunteers mainly to cater to this noble cause, social cause? Do you have quality or skilled manpower, the quality resources at your disposal who will provide quick services to the needy people? And internal efficiency means at the right time. I gave you the example, no? When the ambulance is required for a patient, it should reach the patient's residence or wherever that patient is kept. When neighbors give a call or when relatives of the patients give a call, the ambulance must reach at the right time. If there is inefficiency in catering to the customer's request, then obviously that objective or perspective may not be taken care of. So hospitals, schools, these are all examples of NGOs and not-for-profit organization. For them, the processes matter. Providing quality education to children to their satisfaction, yes, is more important than generating profits. And last one you must have seen in original balanced scorecard, the wordings were learning and growth perspective. Learning and growth. Here you are not looking for growth of business because there is no business. So here we replace the word growth by innovation. आपने देखा होगा एक चीज में there is a small variation, right? So innovation and learning perspective. What are the new ideas? Continuously brainstorming and deliberating on new ideas in which how can we reach the masses? How can we reach a large community of people who require our services? Right? So innovative ideas and of course educating your resource persons in providing value added services to the needy person or to the beneficiary. This is the learning perspective where your skilled people are all trained further, right, with the latest techniques of providing service, value added service to the beneficiary to their satisfaction. So it involves capability of organization to adjust to the changing environment. Whenever there is a requirement in the market, if the external forces, the environment changes, how fast you can respond to the changing environment. Do you have capability to adjust, adapt to the changing environment? So here comes into picture the receptiveness, responsiveness, and also the ability to change, right? Shoulder the various additional responsibilities which may come because of changing environment. So we have innovation and learning perspective. So shall we summarize this adapted balanced scorecard model? Adapted balanced scorecard model will have customer perspective at the top, then financial perspective in the second place, internal process perspective in the third place, and innovation and learning perspective in the fourth place. So points of difference are customer perspective and financial perspective interchange their position. First and second becomes second and first. Point of difference. Second, internal business processes की जगह we call internal processes. Third point of difference, learning and growth नहीं बोलते हैं, we say innovation and learning perspective. Innovation and learning perspective. And these are slight modifications because the purpose or the objective is different, and therefore we call it adapted balance scorecard. We call it adapted, modified. And Kaplan was responsive enough, I would say, to these modifications in light of not-for-profit organizations. Of course, there are other performance measures also which are used for not-for-profit organizations, which are summarized over here below. So, in the above case study of a school, just as we look at efficiency, effectiveness, and also the economy, right, in providing service, value-added service to the beneficiary, we call it value for money framework, VFM, value for money framework. We also have in this adapted balance scorecard, and third part is other performance measures. So we divide this entire chapter, rather the topic of not-for-profit, this concept of evaluation of performance for not-for-profit organization, we divide into three subparts. Number one, the challenges or the difficulties which are encountered by the management in order to measure and evaluate the performance of a not-for-profit organization. Point number one, we learn. Number two, value for money framework, VFM framework, which talks about effectiveness, economy, and efficiency. Effectiveness, efficiency, and economy, right, in providing value-added services to the end users or the beneficiary. And number three, adapted balance scorecard given by Kaplan, right, and Norton. So this is what we discuss in context of not-for-profit organization, how to measure the performance. Of course, there are other performance measures also, and other performance measures are all summarized below. Ability to raise the funds to meet the objectives efficiently. So are you in a position to raise the funds? Fundraising. There are musical concerts which are a school or even a charitable organization sometimes runs musical concerts, organizes musical concerts, organizes shows, right, whereby they invite the celebrities, where they invite the top-notch people from industry, etc., and do something for the benefit of those people who can purchase the tickets and sponsor, because the amount which is collected from these patrons, amount which is collected from these viewers, general public like you and me who watch these concerts or watch these shows online or otherwise, we purchase the tickets and this money goes for the right cause. So ability to raise the funds to meet the objectives efficiently. How fast can you raise the funds? Submitting periodic reports to the stakeholders in a transparent manner. This is equally important. Transparency in financial reporting, we say, is more important in case of not-for-profit organization, because you don't have ROI to justify, you don't have EVA to justify. So obviously your justification of money spent, amount collected from patrons and money spent will only go a long way in getting further sponsorship or donations. So periodic reports to the stakeholders. These are, of course, qualitative performance measures. Ability to raise funds, periodic reports, best use of financial as well as non-financial resources to achieve the desired objective and mission. Both have to be used together. So one cannot look at only non-financial. Financial also we have seen in balance scorecard. Here how we are using the funds, appropriating the funds for the benefit of people. Long-term impact of the activities of not-for-profit organization, what we call sustainability. There are some NGOs which are able to establish their name. We will not call it brand, because brand will have a sort of sense of profitability. Right? When you promote a brand, obviously that means with the objective of getting further business. In case of not-for-profit organization, there is no objective of getting any business. So there is no question of brand building. But here we say, does the good work done by this not-for-profit organization have its impact, right, on the minds of the people? Does it have sustainable future, long-term benefits accruing to the end users or the beneficiaries? So that is again a non-financial performance measure, long-term impact. It is difficult to quantify what are the long-term impacts. and of course the quality of service that is provided, which is again non-financial measure, quality of service which is provided by the organizations. So these are 5 other performance measures which can be highlighted, which can be emphasized on when we talk about not for performance measurement or evaluation of not for profit. So what we have learned so far, we can chart out or document this in terms of a separate sheet, and you can take down this or highlight this. Just a minute, please. We will highlight some of these points. Just see whether you are able to see this screen. I'll be highlighting performance measures for not-for-profit organization, NGO, and performance evaluation. See whether you can see the screen. Performance evaluation in case of NGO, not-for-profit organization, non-government organization or not-for-profit organizations. When you study, you should study always on these lines. You should be able to highlight what are the practical difficulties or bottlenecks which are encountered, difficulties encountered by the top management, encountered by the trustees, difficulties encountered by the trustees in performance evaluation for NGO. You must study this. 4 points we have discussed over here. If you are not forgotten, 4 points which we discussed over here. There are multiple objectives. These multiple objectives always will have a clash. So prioritization of each objective is very important. Quantification of final outcome or final satisfaction level of the end users or beneficiary may become a difficulty. And also we will have a clash of spending. That means amount which is spent on the end users finally is in order to meet the target, meet the budget, and to get the next round of charity, next round of sponsorship. Otherwise, you may not intend to spend on a particular cause, but just because you want to achieve the target of expenditure, you are spending on that particular cause. So these are some of the difficulties encountered by trustees in performance evaluation. We also discussed value for money framework. Value for money framework. This is peculiar in case of not-for-profit organization. Value for money framework, what is also known as VFM. Value for money framework, VFM framework, which is exclusively in case of not-for-profit organizations. Then we discussed adapted balance scorecard. Adapted balance scorecard. Given by Norton, given by Kaplan, and we discussed other performance measures in terms of providing quality, other performance measures like quality of service that is provided, swiftness in raising the fund, how swift you are in raising the fund, swiftness in fundraising, MIS reports, very important, to bring transparency. MIS reports for bringing transparency in the amount what you are spending, and of course proper utilization of funds. Right? And these are some of the etc. These are some of the performance measures which are used apart from qualitative and quantitative, that is financial and non-financial. We have to make use of balanced use of both financial and non-financial performance measure for not-for-profit organization. Right? If you see in the last question papers, there was a case study on not-for-profit organization where VFM, the case study was asked for 20 marks, right? Where of course the other aspects were also woven in. So it was not only on VFM, but of course the students were expected to write on, in the given case, write on 3 parameters, namely efficiency, effectiveness, and of course economy. So we can't ignore this. We have effectiveness, we have efficiency, and we have economy, effectiveness, and we have economy. So these 3 parameters or these 3 words you should keep at the back of your mind, very important. Write it. Effectiveness, efficiency, and economy. Whenever you talk about NGO's performance evaluation, this is the topic. Right? This is how you should chart out. While studying also for the exam, you should chart out that you must study these aspects in this topic. NGO's performance evaluation, non-profitable or charitable organization performance evaluation. What are the difficulties encountered? Value for money framework, adapted balance scorecard, and other performance measures. And when you talk about value for money framework, obviously it is effectiveness, efficiency, and economy. That's all. Economy is maintaining all the costs under control, operating cost under control without affecting the quality, without adversely affecting the quality. Efficiency is providing maximum output at minimum cost. Efficiency is providing maximum output at minimum cost. Please remember these keywords, key points, so that in the given case you will be in a position to draw the analogy. Analogy means similarity. You will be able to draw the analogy, draw the similarity, and you will be able to articulate. Articulate means express. Very essential in a case study paper like this, strategic cost management, your articulation skills are very important. How a student is articulating, expressing his thoughts, his or her thoughts, right, in a given situation, in a given case, in terms of the concepts, what he has learned in the model, in the book. So you have learned the concept of value for money, effectiveness, efficiency, and economy. But you should be in a position to apply these concepts, right, in a given situation. So maintaining the cost of operation within control without hampering the quality, that is economy. Then efficiency is providing maximum output at minimum cost, and effectiveness is of course whether you are in a position to achieve your final goals. Organization, that non-profit working organization, is it in a position to achieve its ultimate goals, objectives, right? The purpose for which you had set up a NGO. We go back to the module. So the overall, we have come to the end of the chapter. This chapter, if you recollect, was divided into 4 parts prominently. First, we started with responsibility accounting. Then we looked at the meaning of responsibility accounting, the need for performance measurement and evaluation in any organization, and the concept of SBUs, strategic business units, where each manager, divisional manager, is responsible for the cost and profits, that is cost and revenue, that by the profit of his division. That is how he is accountable to the stakeholders. So how to evaluate the performance? So performance, measurement and evaluation in terms of financial measures, B, non-financial measures. Then we understood benchmarking. We also understood not-for-profit organization. And last part, how we do the performance evaluation in not-for-profit organization. The last part, and that is performance reports. Responsibility accounting is a performance measurement process that has been explained over here. Various perspectives are explained over here, so I will not repeat. We go to performance reports. There have to be a proper reporting system which should be inculcated, and responsibility accounting calls for periodic reports from time to time on a quarterly basis, on monthly basis, on fortnightly basis, right? Which are required from the line managers, functional managers, and these performance reports will enable, of course, top management to evaluate the performance of operating managers at all the levels in the organization. I would say performance report is a culture, reporting is a culture in any organization. And responsibility accounting is successful. You say it can be successfully implemented by issuing the performance reports at frequent intervals. So every organization should develop a culture of, or rather that should be inculcated within the organization, that there should be periodic reports which are generated, maybe budget versus actual. Right? Many organizations have this as a part of their MIS. What was the target or the budget spent and the actual spend for the month and cumulative. So you have 4 columns in this evaluation. You have performance which is assessed on a monthly basis and also on a cumulative basis. So you have budget actual for the month, budget actual cumulative. That means the budget on a particular activity was say 10,000 rupees. Actual spend in that month. Every month there is a budget which is 10,000 rupees on a particular activity. The actual spend may be within budget. You have spent actually during the month only 8,500. So against 10,000 you have spent only 8,500. Good. But on a cumulative basis you might have crossed the budget. Now that is not in the interest of the organization. Right? So if the budget sanctioned on a cumulative basis is 3 lakhs, and you have spent 3,20,000, then justification is required to be given by the operating manager why you are spending with more than 5%, right? More than 5% on a particular activity. There is something called tolerable limit or tolerable range within which you can spend the amount. So if the budget sanctioned is rupees 3 lakhs, then some organizations keep it at 3%, some keep at 5%. So 5% of 3 lakh comes to 15,000. So plus minus 15,000 here and there is justified, is justifiable, and that can be tolerable. But if anyone is spending more than 15,000 extra as compared to the budget, then that is questioned, that is escalated, and that should be justified as well. And proper sanction authority approval has to be taken from the top management. So can we say that performance reports enable, the culture of performance reports enable the top management to evaluate the performance of operating managers in the organization. And if there is any improvement required based on the review of performance reports, then necessary action can be taken at the top management level and even at the operating managers level. All of you can see the summary. Before we go to the case study, now in 2 classes, I have explained to you the theoretical understanding of each of these concepts. Now, in the remaining classes on performance evaluation and measurement, we will look at the case studies and case scenarios, right? So I will be sharing with you a separate whiteboard, which is in the form of a Word document. And that whiteboard in the form of Word document will share the case study. You will take 5 to 7 minutes in reading the case, in understanding the language of the case, the interpretation of the case, and based on, I will also give you some inputs, some points to ponder, what we call points to ponder, points to think. And then on the basis of those cases, we elaborate, we discuss, and we look at the approach. So I'll be sharing with you the approach note. May not be a detailed suggested answer, may not be a detailed solution, but an approach note, how to approach that case study while answering the questions in the exam. Right? And these case studies will be based on assorted topics which we have learned in this chapter, maybe on triple bottom line, maybe on balance scorecard, maybe on ROI, RI, EVA. It could be on responsibility accounting, not-for-profit organization, etc., etc. And now you understand why this topic is important, occupying 1/3 weightage in the syllabus, right? And also in the examination. And generally, 2 case studies are asked for 20 marks. Generally, if you study the past question paper pattern, you will find this. So the summary is in front of you. You have responsibility accounting, we started with, then linking of critical success factors to KPIs. If you remember, critical success factors talk about what, whereas KPIs talk about how, what and how, and linking both the things to corporate strategy. Within the broad framework of corporate strategy, we have aligned CSF and KPIs. for the successful operation or running of business. So this is highlighted over here also, what and how. What and how. Key performance indicators are how, and CSF is what. Very important. We are just highlighting, so these words never go out of your mind. When you are writing an answer to a case study, you can always click in your mind, a thread will go in your mind, and yes, a click that yes, we had discussed time and again these terms, CSF, KPIs, and linkage with corporate strategy. Then we discussed about performance indicators in terms of financial measures, namely ROI, residual income. Residual income is repeated twice. Economic, that is a typo error. So economic value added and shareholder value added, where you take into account cash flows, right, and cash profit and not the book profit. Cash profit over the years is converted into present value, right, by applying the discounting factor, shareholder value added. Then we learned the triple bottom line, which talks about 3 P's in financial reporting. 3 P's, namely profit, people, and planet. Doing something for the society, doing something for protection of environment is equally important as maintaining the bottom line. Non-financial performance measures, we concentrated on quality, reliability, flexibility. These are the parameters used in non-financial measures. And then we have techniques which are used in non-financial performance measure. One is balanced scorecard. 4 aspects: customer perspective, financial perspective, customer perspective, process perspective, and we have learning and growth perspective. After balanced scorecard, we learned performance pyramid. Performance pyramid, where you have broad base. Pyramid always has the top which is narrow and bottom which is very broad. So at the broad base, you have efficiency and effectiveness. We talked about this. You have efficiency and effectiveness. Efficiency is financial, effectiveness is non-financial. That is the performance pyramid. And we discussed problems encountered in performance pyramid. Then Fitzgerald and Moon's building block model, right, where 3 words we concentrated on, and they are highlighted over here also. Don't forget. Standards first, then dimensions, and then rewards. I had written also in the sheet, standards, dimensions, and rewards. And these on 3 lines, further division of rewards, how the rewards should be, how the dimensions should be, standards should be, and so on. Standards basically in terms of KPIs, in terms of quality of service, etc. Advantages of building block model, we had understood. Performance prism. After triple bottom line, it was balanced scorecard. Then we had a performance pyramid. Then building block, performance prism, where again you have different stakeholders. Apart from shareholders, you have employees also at the back of your mind. So performance prism, where broad category of stakeholder satisfaction is taken into. Then we learned about benchmarking. Various types of benchmarking. And then we had difficulties in implementation of benchmarking. And then the performance measures in not-for-profit organizations in today's class. That is value for money framework, VFM framework, where 3 E's are important. If that is 3 P's in financial reporting, that is triple bottom line reporting. These are 3 E's, value for money. So looking at this, value for money, you can update this. Value for money, when you talk about, we say these are 3 E's. And 3 P's are profit, people, and planet. These are 3 P's. And these are 3 E's, value for money framework. Value for money framework is 3 E's, effectiveness, efficiency, economy. Whereas 3 P's, that is profit, people, and planet, are in triple bottom line reporting. Triple bottom line as a technique. You should know this. The problems encountered. So today's class, if you look at these at your module, there are a number of small caselets or situation analysis given to you, right? Below each chapter in the textbook, you are expected to read those caselets or case scenarios, and also along with them, there is an approach that is given to you. So you can see there are around 10 caselets, if I'm not mistaken, more than 10 caselets given over here. And you are expected at this stage, at student stage, to read each and every caselet. See this? One on triple bottom line reporting, one on benchmarking. I can see over here there are nearly 10 caselets which are given over here. And therefore you should not lose sight of this. You should study them, and also along with that approach is given. You are given the solution also. Covering these caselets, some of them we will touch upon at later stage. But right now let's take a case which is exclusively on triple bottom line reporting. So I'm sharing with you one case, small case on triple bottom line. We'll read this case. Small case, so that should get over in 15 minutes time. Read this in front of you, the case is in front of you. Question number 2 or case number 2 for the day. The triple bottom line recognizes, I myself have written, triple bottom line recognizes that a company's performance should not only be viewed in terms of its ability to generate economic profits for its owners, but also by its impact on people and planet, for its long-term economic and social viability. So, this is the keyword. Triple bottom line. The case study is on triple bottom line. Like that, when in exam you get a case study, you should highlight these cases. This is triple bottom line case. It recognizes that company's performance should not only be viewed in terms of its ability to generate economic profits for its owners, that is the bottom line, net profit or profit after tax, generate economic profit for its owners, but also by its impact on people and planet for long-term economic and social viability. So we are concerned with long-term economic and social viability of business. There is a company, Noel Limited, which has recently undertaken some initiatives towards sustainability as below. Now you have to identify whether this initiative would primarily impact, very simple case study to begin with, whether this initiative would impact people, planet or profit. There are 3 P's in triple bottom line: profit, then people and planet. So which segment is affected because of the initiatives taken by the corporate management in each of the given cases? So you are given 5 cases, 5 examples rather, 5 scenarios, and under each scenario, each initiative, you have to find out what would be the impact of this initiative on each category of stakeholder in the balanced scorecard. I think the each category of people in the triple bottom line. I'm sorry, each category of people in the triple bottom line. The triple bottom line, you have profit, you have people, and you have planet. Let's read. Reduce the amount of plastic usage in the peanut butter jars. You can write the answers in the link which is provided to you, and immediately I will come to know the approach, the response. I will give you 3-4 minutes to write down so that you will be able to decide whether they impact people, planet or profit. This initiative taken by the management reduce the amount of plastic usage in the peanut butter jars. Nowadays butter jars are available either in the glass bottles or they are available in a separate pouch, but that will not make use of plastic because plastic is banned in the country. But as much as possible, wherever possible, reduce the use of plastic. Correct? Some of you have mentioned correctly. It is nothing but affecting the planet. Planet means go green. protect the environment, go green, protecting the environment. Go green initiatives, saving the earth. Next, provided financial support to hospital run by local authority in the vicinity of the factory. This particular Noel Limited has decided to provide financial support to a hospital which is run by a local authority in the vicinity of the factory. This is done by many companies. Say for example, in a place if the factory is situated, that factory is providing job opportunities to a large number of people who are residing in the nearby areas. जो आसपास के इलाके में रहते हैं उन लोगों को ही एम्प्लॉयमेंट अपॉर्चुनिटी प्रोवाइड करना it's always advisable because those people can commute faster, they can reach the factory on time and will be committed and they will also get some job opportunities. So such people are provided with job or employment opportunities. Also the factory where it is situated, the company takes the entire village on, it adopts the village and takes the responsibility of nourishment of people, nourishment of small children in that village, providing quality education to them. The hospital which is run by the local authority is in the vicinity of the factory and you provide financial support to the hospital. What do you think? Who are providing financial support to the hospital which is run by the local authority? Yes? I'm expecting the answer in the window which is given to you. Yeah, I will certainly show you the solution later on. Providing financial support to hospital run by local authority. Yes, it is people. Sorry? It is not PPT, it is the Word document. I have shown the Word document. Then what is visible in front right now? Now you have this PDF is visible. Okay, now I will open the Word document, just see. Click here to start sharing the screen, this one. And then, now you can see this screen. Okay, so I'll read the case number 2, question number 2. The screen is visible for all of you. I have highlighted some of the words. Triple bottom line. Triple bottom, the case is on TBL, triple bottom line. Triple bottom line recognizes that company's performance should be viewed not only in terms of ability to generate economic profits for its owners, but also by its impact on people and planet. So I have highlighted 2 words, people and planet. That is triple bottom line. Right? So it's not only profit, but also people and planet. So you have to identify in the given case, there are 5 initiatives I have given, 5 examples of initiatives I have given. There is a company by name Noel Limited. Noel Limited has recently undertaken certain initiatives towards sustainability of business in the long term. So you have to respond, students, you have to respond whether these initiatives would primarily impact. Ultimately, they will impact the business, they will impact the society, all, and they are all interrelated. But primarily, these initiatives would primarily impact people, planet, or profit. बस वही आपको बोलना है, right? For long-term sustainability of the business. And accordingly, management will ensure that yes, all 3 parties are taken care of in triple bottom line and for sustainability of business. So first example I have given is reduce the amount of plastic usage in the peanut butter jars. Yes, I will give you 1 minute's time to write down against this. Reduce the amount of plastic usage in the peanut butter jars. Many companies are reducing the use of plastic in their manufacturing process, packing style, because plastic is banned in the country in the long-term interest of the environment. So you will get nowadays butter jars or bottles which are glass bottles, so that you don't make use of plastics. And the use of pouch bags, where plastic used to be used on a large scale, that is done away with or reduced by most of the companies. So reduced amount of plastic usage in the peanut butter jars. Yes, you are right. That is what is protecting the environment. So you are taking an initiative which will impact planet. So answer is planet over here. Second one, provided financial support to the hospital which is run by local authority in the vicinity of the factory. We are on the second example. We are on the second point. Providing financial support to hospital which is run by local authority in the vicinity of the factory. A company has taken the entire village, taken the responsibility for the upliftment of the entire village, which is located near the, which is there in the surrounding area. That is the village in which the factory is situated. So you are also funding the hospital. You are providing financial support to the hospital, which is today run by the local authority. Right? What is this for? Obviously, it is catering to people. So this is a CSR in the name of people. You are providing job opportunities to the villagers. You are taking care of nourishment of their children, providing school, hospital cost, etc. So it is financial support. It is not profit. It is people. Very simple. At final level, you should be able to appreciate this. Third one, constructed solar powered warehouse. Constructing a solar powered warehouse. Third one. Now we are on the third one. Constructed solar powered warehouse. Yes, solar power is obviously, it is not a conventional, non-conventional source of power generation, and many societies, cooperative societies, corporate entities are making use of solar power so that their usage of power is reduced and there is a saving in the consumption cost also. So constructing the solar powered waterhouse, you will find that is again in the interest of planet. Correct. The fourth one, generate profit for company shareholders. Fourth one, generate profit for company shareholders. So simple, it is profit, nothing else but profit. And last one, started child care unit for the benefit of women employees. Started child care unit for the benefit of women employees as well as for the neighborhood community. Anything and everything for the upliftment of the society, upliftment of people who are living in the nearby areas, providing job opportunities, hospital expenses, etc., all part of people. So starting the child care unit for the benefit of women employees, this is used in many organizations. There is some creche facility, CRECHE, creche facility provided in the factory premises only, where the women employees can bring their children, right, one or two children, and the factory's creche will take care of those children, will provide them the nourishment, will also educate them actually at an infant stage or when they are too small, and their entire care will be taken care of. So that will be that's again for people. So this was the small case. Such type of question you can have it in the exam. Look at the approach is given over here. Solution is given, that is in front of you. Any doubts you can ask me in the chat box in the query link which is provided to you, and I will respond to you after the break on those questions. So identification of initiatives undertaken by Noel Limited into categories that would impact based on triple bottom line model. So we have people, planet or profit. People, planet or profit. So same thing we have discussed is reduce the amount of plastic usage in the peanut butter jars. Yes, our answer was correct. That is, we have planet. Providing financial support to hospital by local authority, people. Constructing solar powered warehouse, again planet. Generating profit for company shareholders, again profit. and starting a child care unit for the benefit of women employees, and that is as well as for neighboring community, that is people. All of you understood how to divide the initiatives taken by the management of the company into three categories, namely profit, people and planet, from the point of view of triple bottom line as one of the performance measures, non-financial performance measures. We look at another case study which is again on triple bottom line. What we'll do is we'll read the case completely and thereafter you get some 10 minutes break to brainstorm, right? Think over this case and we will discuss the approach after the break. So I will read the case in next 5 to 8 minutes. I will tell you the approach, how to go about, and you have to again identify whether it is an activity for people, for planet or for profit. And not only that, but you also have to give the justification. In the earlier case slate or case scenario, we did not give the justification. But here you have to give justification. You have to express in proper English, you have to explain or express the logical reasoning. Why are you categorizing this initiative as for profit or as for people or for planet? This you keep in mind. There is a company called Anmol Limited. By the way, this case is again on triple bottom line. This is what is highlighted. It is Anmol Limited. It is a multi-specialty hospital in a mid-sized town. You read this case along with me. A 300 plus bedded facility offers treatment across all medical disciplines of cardiac, oncology, that is medical, surgical and radiotherapy, neurosciences, urology, nephrology, kidney transplant, aesthetics, etc., etc. I'll not read. See, you should develop habit of rapid reading. This is something which I'm sharing with you in a case study which is very lengthy, which is very detailed. Sometimes it runs into more than 3 pages of the question paper. When you get 15 minutes time for reading the question paper, right, you should quickly glance through those cases and see what is the topic that is covered in the case, particularly in this paper which is oriented towards case study analysis. Particularly, I'm talking about this paper, Strategic Cost Management and Performance Evaluation, which is oriented towards case study analysis. What you should do is quickly glance through, do rapid reading of the case in those 15 minutes when you get the question paper, and firm up your mind with respect to the topic that is being covered by the case study. Firm up your mind with respect to the topic that is being covered by the case study. See, here I have written for your understanding on the top, triple bottom line. In the question paper, there will not be any headline or there will not be any title that is given to a case. The title probably could be a name of the company, Anmol Limited, that is the title. But case study will not reveal the name of the topic. This I have highlighted for your understanding and benefit. But you have to make up your mind which topic is being covered or highlighted in the given case. And for that, rapid reading is required in first 15 minutes when you get the question paper, so that when you start attempting and making a choice, at that time you are very clear कि आपको ये case study attempt करना है या नहीं करना है. If it is covering a topic in which you are not that comfortable, not that conversant, then you probably can leave that topic and you can go to some other question, so that you can always take a call in the initial 15 minutes. So develop the habit of rapid reading. So just now, for example, this data is not very relevant. Which kind of diseases, which kind of treatments or medical disciplines are taken care of? I can say it is a multi-unit, multilateral, multi-unit kind of a hospital, multi-speciality hospital where all services are provided under one roof, catering to all the ailments, all the diseases. बस इतना समझ में आया बहुत है. Most of the community members have their livelihood linked with the hospital. Right? Again, this line is redundant, no, as far as case study or the topic is concerned. But anyway, we have to go through, read, and have to have that patience in reading the case. Many of them are directly employed at the hospital, as such as doctors, nursing staff, lab technicians, or as other staff. I told you, people from nearby community who are skilled, semi-skilled, unskilled, they are roped in and they are made part of the staff or part of the technicians in this hospital. while others are indirectly related as suppliers of medical devices or drugs to the hospital, catering or housekeeping contractors. So you have insiders who are support staff, and also you have the staff on the payroll in terms of technicians, doctors, nursing staff, and you also have the support staff. Also you have the vendors, the outsiders or external authorities like contractors, housekeeping contractors, catering contractors. In every hospital there is a canteen, there is a cafeteria or a canteen, there you have the housekeeping services. So there are contract employees who are working all the time for maintaining cleanliness, hygiene, etc. And also vendors who supply the equipments, who supply the drugs, the medicines, etc. to the hospital. Now we understand the typical background of a hospital. These are the individuals in the value chain. We have understood the topic value chain analysis in strategic cost management. So these are the participants in our value chain of a hospital. Hence, existence of the hospital is vital to the community. So all of you understand why this hospital makes sense in that area, in that community, because it is catering to masses. It is catering to masses. Growing awareness about sustainable business prompted the management to identify the areas that can help the hospital operate in a sustainable manner that would be mutually beneficial to the organization as well as the town that depends on it. Here, all these lengthy sentences are there, but you will highlight the word sustainable business. Now, this is something which is a key word for us, and in the answer also you have to highlight this word. Ultimately, this triple bottom line is meant for sustainable business. We discussed this. I want to have my presence and existence in this business, in this particular line of activity on a long-term basis, and I have to serve the nation, I have to serve the masses for a long period of time. So sustainable business. Growing awareness about sustainable business prompted the management to identify areas that can help the hospital operate in a sustainable manner that would be mutually beneficial to organization as well as the people, the community, the entire town which depends on it. So we have win-win situation. Remember one more word in this case, win-win situation. Right? You should not win at the cost of the community, and at the same time community should not be able to take undue advantage at the cost of hospital. It is both way. Win-win situation should always be there in case of such entities or organizations. Therefore, it has identified the initiatives that have been put in place to create a sustainable business. So again, I highlight the word here, initiatives. Management has taken various initiatives. To create sustainable business. Like this, when you read the case, you should highlight. Now, I am spending time on reading the case because I am showing you how to read between the lines. That is very important in the management case study. When you have to read between the lines, you have to interpret the contents of the case, right, and highlight some of the points. Information captured from various departments are being considered to prepare the TBLR report. So there is a triple bottom line report that is being prepared based on information collated means compiled from various departments. So there is a pathology lab within the hospital. You have the retail shop, that is the chemist shop which is there within the hospital. You have the administration division, you have the X-ray centers, etc., etc. From every division or every department, you are procuring some data, compiling the reports, and a TBL report has been designed for consumption of both internal and external stakeholders. So this is again an important word in a case, internal and external stakeholders. When we talk about internal stakeholders, obviously the staff, obviously the people who are involved in the operations of the hospital. And when you talk about external stakeholders, they are contractors, they are end users, that is the patients, and also the vendors who are supplying. They are external, and internal is your own staff, technicians, doctors, nursing staff. I think our framework is ready. We have read the case and we have been able to highlight the keywords in this case. So now based on this, you are required to identify the aspects which need to be reported in TBLR report, TBL report, and under which of the three categories? What aspects you need to report? The two things are asked, not only the category of people, but the aspects which you need to report. So again, I will highlight these two words because this is what is required. Sometimes what happens in the exam, the question asked is X and students answer Y. Or they may only say people, planet. The last case study we understood in terms of only people, planet and profit. So if you write one word like this, obviously you have not responded to the question that is asked in the exam. You should be able to respond or hit the bullseye, write the answer to the question that is asked for. So aspects which need to be reported. That is what you have to highlight. Aspects which need to be reported. And under which category. So three categories are important. So these things I have highlighted. Based on this, we will read the initiatives which are taken. First one, I will read and then we will take a break. I'll read it fast. Once again, you can write down your queries. I'm waiting for your queries in response to this particular question. Number one, medical staff conducted charity camps every month. First one. Medical staff, we are on the first one. Medical staff conducted charity camps every month. Open to all members of the community who are provided with consultation free of cost. You know, there are charity camps on a monthly basis and where free consultation, free testing of eyes, free advice given to the people in the nearby area, that is the community. Next one, prompt and accurate tax payments based on records maintained without errors and fraud. Right? So there is no manipulation, no window dressing, proper records maintained and prompt and accurate tax payment made. So which aspect are we covering? Under which category? These are two questions you have to highlight in this particular question. Two aspects you have to highlight. Which aspect of triple bottom line, and second part is which which part of the stakeholder we are taking care of or addressing. Which category of TBLR we are reporting. The third is, with the help of traffic police, Anmol has implemented a green corridor for the ambulances that carry donors' organs for transplantation. This is always the cause. Once the person dies, or the organs, if he has donated for a social cause, have to reach the hospital, right, without any delay, have to reach the hospital very fast. And there comes into picture the ambulance and also the traffic police marking or demarcating a particular area as a green corridor for the ambulances which will carry the donor's organs for transplantation. Organs harvested from the donor of one hospital can reach another hospital with the recipient patient at the earliest, and then only they can be implanted, they can be replaced in the patient's body immediately, and then only there is a benefit. Yeah. So look at the kind of work which is done. Medical waste is discarded at a landfill in a nearby dump site. Some of the waste are not biodegradable. This is again a concern. So which part of the community, triple bottom line, stakeholder will be affected, and what aspect is being covered? Every time you have to discuss the aspect. Fifth one, during review of supplier for housekeeping services, it was observed that the service provider resorted to child labor to keep cost of operations very lower. Now, you know, child labor is not allowed in the country, but still there are tendencies on the part of management to involve child labor for some or the other service, some or the other small work, job work. And during review of the supplier for housekeeping, this was observed that he had resorted to child labor mainly to reduce his cost. He is charging the company at the same rate, but he is employing child labor. So what will be the aspect that will be covered, and which category again? Training and professional development programs for doctors and nurses for continuous learning, improved learning, right, on the job training. Lab reports are being made available online within the hospital computer system. This would reduce the printing cost and storage space needed to maintain the older records.
Nowadays we are having online classes, online learning. So why not lab reports also being made available online, so that even patient or his relatives rather don't have to go to the counter of pathology lab and collect the report, right? Reports are available online on their smartphone. They can just view those reports and show it to the doctor and take the consultation and a further remedial action. And this will also reduce, from the hospital's point of view, printing cost and storage space, right, needed to maintain the older records. Next, 8th initiative. Now it's a proper case study or of say 20 marks or so, where on each initiative you have to write two things. One is aspect and the type or category of stakeholder which is taken care of as far as triple bottom line is concerned. After every initiative, I am repeating this so that you are clear what is being done, right? What you are expected to write against each initiative. So, 8th one, Anmol has a good track record of having no medical negligence litigation cases filed against it. At any point of time, if any party is dissatisfied, aggrieved, then obviously they will file a suit in the court of law, and you have to give valid explanation in the court at the time of hearing. So Anmol has a good track record that there are no such cases which are filed against the hospital in terms of medical negligence litigation. That's a good thing. So which aspect is being covered and which category is served or taken care of. 9th one, the hospital is planning to market medical checkup packages so that facilities in its outpatient department can be utilized better. Repeat, the hospital is planning to market medical checkup packages. Normally these packages are comprehensive packages. So it is not just eye testing or not just testing of your blood pressure or sugar, but it's a comprehensive package or a plan that is offered to the patients who are interested in doing a complete body checkup once in a year or whatever frequency. So hospital is planning to do a massive marketing of such medical checkup packages so that facilities in its outpatient department, right, can be utilized better. Today you have set up a complete lab or complete setup for medical checkup, but people are not taking advantage of that facility or setup because they are not aware. So lack of awareness, now you are planning to go on a larger scale in terms of creating awareness, doing the publicity, etc. What is this initiative? Which part or which aspect will be covered and which category is covered? Each one of these you have to highlight. Number of inpatient hospital deaths decreased to 8% from 776 in 2016 to 715 in 2017. And some statistics is given. You can see the record 776, that is number of deaths, and that was in 2016. They got reduced to 715 in 2017. 8% se reduction hua death rate mein, right? So is it a good sign? Of course, yes. Number of inpatient hospital deaths decreased by 8%. So this is again an initiative taken by the management, proactive initiative. So which aspect is covered and which category of these three layers, profit, people or planet, is being covered? Triple bottom line. So assume all aspects are material enough to be reported in the TBL. If they were not so material, they would have been excluded from our reporting. But these are all material aspects, because if you try to quantify the impact of these initiatives in financial terms, to the extent possible, it may run into lakhs and crores of rupees, right? Cost saving for the company, or maybe development of revenue, business, and thereby building up the revenue for the hospital also. That's all right. So you have this case which is in front of you. I am keeping it open. You can take a pic if you like, right, of the case so that you can write one after the other. I have adjusted or set in such a manner that you can take a pic, right, of these 10 initiatives. And each of these initiatives you have to write two things. I repeat again. One is the aspect of business that is covered. There is a logical reasoning or an explanation. Why are you categorizing this initiative in a particular category of triple bottom line reporting while preparing the TBLR reports, periodic reports? We take a 10-minute break, and after the break we discuss this approach or solution to this. Thank you. Okay. Coming back to our case on triple bottom line, I had shown you the screen. So one after the other, we will look at the initiatives and the category in which that initiative can be put for the purpose of triple bottom line reporting. Aspects that need to be reported in the TBL report. Prepared a chart or a table, serial number, aspect and category on the TBL report. So are you catering to people? Are you catering to planet? Or are you looking at profit? One of the three. So we call it social bottom line, that is people. Then planet bottom line, that is for the environment, environmental bottom line, and profit bottom line. Correct? So which category and why? Which aspect is getting covered? That we have to highlight. First one, medical staff conducts, and I am on the first aspect. First one, medical staff conducts charity camps every month. These are open to all members of the community who are provided with consultation free of cost, free of charge. Nothing is charged to them. This charity camp cater to the community people who are residing around in the nearby area of that factory. Of course, management is doing something for the society, so it is social bottom line and it benefits the local community. That is the answer. Because we have to give the reasoning also. Social bottom line because it benefits local community. Come down to the next. Prompt and accurate tax payments based on records which are maintained without frauds or errors. Prompt and accurate tax payment based on records which are maintained without any errors or fraud. Obviously, it is a profit bottom line called economic bottom line since tax payments impact on organization's bottom line and cash flow. All of you are aware the tax will have impact on cash flow and also on bottom line of the company. Right? So because company is making accurate tax payment, prompt tax payments based on its records which are very transparent without any frauds and errors, you are catering to the economic bottom line, that is the profit bottom line, since tax payments have impact on the profitability and also on the cash flow, money flow. Look at the third aspect. Each one of this you have highlighted in your query. Anmol, with the help of traffic police, has implemented a green corridor for ambulance that carries the donor's organs for transplantation. Right? Organs are harvested from the donor at one hospital, can reach another hospital with the recipient patient at the earliest. I mentioned to you, if the organs reach at the right time and are implanted at the right time, you can save the patient from the fatal cause and you can certainly complete this surgery, complete this particular operation very successfully. So for this reason, green corridor has been provided. Though it is called green corridor, ultimately the purpose is for the society and therefore it is not environmental. Sometimes it's given to twist. Some of you might have written it is environmental bottom line. Now that is not correct. This word green corridor is there doesn't mean it is environmental bottom line. This is not for the environment. Understand the end result, the outcome, the purpose with which this facility has been provided. That organs can reach from the place where the death has taken place to the hospital so that they can be implanted quickly. इसके लिए ambulance के लिए a special corridor, green corridor. If green corridor की जगह if it was a demarcated place, then you would not have written environment because if the word green is there, somebody may be tempted to write environment. But this is given just to confuse you and therefore be clear it is a social bottom line. Since green corridor would enable, it should be enable. It should be enable. Green corridor will enable the ambulance to transport the harvested organs between the hospitals at the earliest, and this would be beneficial for the patients in case of critical care. So transportation of the harvested organs is easy if you have a special corridor, and it will be beneficial for the patient. So who is the end user? Ultimately the patients in case of critical care. So this is social bottom line. So there was a catch in this. Let's look at the fourth one. Fourth one is medical waste. Medical waste is discarded at a landfill in a nearby dump site. Some of the wastes are not biodegradable. Obviously, very easy to recognize that we stop using the material which is not biodegradable, the material which doesn't get destroyed, right? We should stop using such material because that is considered as a waste. And in hospitals, a lot of waste is generated. So, and that waste, that medical waste is discarded at a dumping ground, at a landfill in a nearby dump site. So environment is taken for pride. Environment is a toss. So we say it is environmental bottom line aspect that has been covered as it affects the ecological surroundings of the town. You should remember some keywords like ecological surroundings of the town. There are cases where because of dumping of these debris or dumping of the garbage and particularly waste which is not biodegradable, there have been occasions where there have been emission of toxic gases, emission of some pollution in the environment, due to which again it has damaged the people in the nearby area, particularly in terms of breathing problems, in terms of pain in the heart, etc., pain in the chest, and so on. So one has to be very careful on disposal of the medical waste, environmental bottom line. Next one we look at is number 5. During review of the supplier for housekeeping service, it was observed that the service provider resorted to child labor to keep cost of operations lower. Child labor is strictly prohibited, but still just to reduce the cost, if the contractor is using the child labor and deploying them on the company's premises for the work, obviously housekeeping, cleaning work, etc., then that is not done. And then during audit, if this point comes up, then the contractor should be warned. So it's again a social cause, and social bottom line is the criteria, since employing child labor leads to exploitation of children within the community. So this is example of catering to social bottom line. These are simple questions actually, and you should grab the opportunity to get 10 on 10 or 20 on 20, 5 on 5 in this question. The earlier case study was a 5-mark case study, right, where you have to just write which category is taken care of in a particular initiative. So whether it is profit, people, or planet. Here you have to also give the justification, and therefore the weightage becomes 20 marks, 2 marks each. So 10 initiatives are given. You have training and professional development programs for doctors and nurses. Now that is again a social bottom line, right? For upbringing, for elevating the comfort level of doctors, nurses, and creating awareness about the latest techniques which are used in medical science. Now that is something which is a continuous process, so that the quality of service to the patient improves. So it's a social bottom line, since it contributes towards employee development. They are employees of the company, employees of the hospital, doctors and nurses. So it is social bottom line. Then we come to the 7th one. Lab reports are being made available online within the hospital computer system, right? If lab reports are being made available online within the hospital computer system, that means you are reducing the generation of waste in the environment. Obviously, paperwork is reduced. No longer you are required to print any of the reports, nor you are required to store the reports. So obviously, the environment is protected, and therefore environmental bottom line is taken care of. Since paper, cartridge, and storage requirements would be lower, this preserves the environmental resources, right? So 3 things you have to write: paper, cartridge, and storage. प्रिंटिंग ही करना नहीं है तो पेपर नहीं लगेगा, कार्ट्रिज नहीं लगेगी, और प्रिंटिंग करना नहीं है तो बॉक्स फाइल एंड स्टोरेज रिक्वायरमेंट, स्टोरेज स्पेस नॉट रिक्वायर्ड. So environmental bottom line is taken care of. There is a clear-cut indication in the initiative itself that this would reduce the printing cost and storage space. So it will save from use of cartridge, use of storage space for maintaining the old records, for printing of the reports, etc. Environmental bottom line. Next one, Anmol has a good track record of having no medical negligence between litigation cases and litigation cases which are filed against it. It's good thing, that against the hospital there are no litigation cases. Right? During this pandemic situation, we have seen that there have been so many cases where the hospitals have been condemned or criticized for not providing quality services, quality hygiene or quality services to the patients who are suffering from this corona. Now, during this time, obviously, it is a concern for the people, concern for the patient that is at the utmost priority. So, social bottom line is taken care of. You can make out it is a social bottom line, since it is an indicator of quality of service provided to the patients. The next one we now talk about, and that is ninth one. Hospital is planning to market medical checkup packages so that facilities in its outpatient department can be utilized better. Now, this is simply something like this also is possible. See, it is not necessary that every aspect which is given to you has to be covered in a TBLR, triple bottom line report. This aspect, I don't know how many of you have written the correct answer, but it is not relevant to TBL report at all. Why? Because it is a marketing strategy to improve the profitability. Finally, hospital wants to make utmost utilization of its premises, and premises consist of not only the beds for the patients, not only the surgery department, not only the retail chemist shop, but also the department where all types of tests or checkups take place. So it wants to market its medical checkup package, comprehensive plan or package for its prospective patients, mainly to get the business. And of course, proper utilization of the department which is underutilized as of now. So this has an objective, long-term objective of maintaining the bottom line. But right now it is a marketing strategy, and therefore to improve the profitability, so it is not relevant in TBL report at all. So ऐसे भी होता है, and therefore remember this is very important part. Yes, you should not miss out on this particular important thing. Triple bottom line report में कहाँ भी ये नहीं आएगा. And the last one, the number of inpatient hospital deaths decreased 8% from 776 in 2016 to 715 in 2017. Reduction in the deaths of the patient is a good sign. That is again catering to patients. So it is social bottom line. Since hospital mortality rate has come down, mortality rate measures the clinical quality, right? If you are able to reduce this particular death rate in any hospital, then that talks about good clinical quality, good hygiene quality, the treatment which is given to the patients, and therefore it caters to, once again, the patients. So it is a social bottom line. I think 2 case studies on triple bottom line is more than enough for you to understand the way to approach, right? How to approach a question on triple bottom line. We go to the case on this case number 2 we have seen, which is again on triple bottom line, but that was a very small case where you were asked to just write down the areas which are taken care of. We go to case study number 3. It is on economic value added. Now, before I go to the case, I want to make you realize about, once again, the performance measures. One case study is on EVA. Before I go through the case, the contents of this case, I want to that there are 2 types of performance measures. One is traditional performance measures like EPS, MPS. When I started my session in the last to last class, I had mentioned to you that traditionally organizations have been using conservative performance measures like maximizing EPS and MPS. Rather, EPS, DPS and NPS. All of you remember these 3 words? EPS, DPS and MPS. These are conservative or traditional performance measures. But vis-a-vis that, nowadays we have practical performance measures, financial performance measures like EVA, ROI, RI. Now, when you talk about EVA, it is in economic terms, profitability in economic terms, in true sense, the real worth of the business that is being considered. So EVA, always you understand, is in terms of true worth, economic value generation, value addition, value generation for the business. And therefore, conventionally or traditionally, if companies have been using EPS, DPS and NPS as the performance measures, right, over a period of time, they have been replaced by other performance measures like ROI, RI, EVA and so on. But in fact, it is shareholder value addition, SVA, market value addition, MVA and so on. So somewhere, if there is a case study on performance evaluation, somewhere or the other, this flavor should be highlighted in your answer. That is my point. Before I read this case itself, I am emphasizing on this, that this flavor has to be highlighted. That traditional or conservative measures of performance evaluation like EPS, DPS, MPS, earning per share, dividend per share and market price per share, they continue to be at the back of mind. Finally, management wants to maximize the market price of the share, maximize the earnings, maximize dividend, keep shareholders happy, all agreed. But still, the parameters which are used or techniques which are used for performance evaluation in today's time are much beyond EPS, DPS and MPS. They mainly concentrate on financial and non-financial, which we have discussed at length. So let's now read this case. Again, highlighting some of the key points and then understanding the topic. Again, I have written over here topic for you, economic value added. But in the exam, you don't have the title of the topic. So you have to understand and highlight and identify which topic is being covered from the given case. It's a Korean company, Korean Limited. It is based in Seoul, committed to supplying the highest quality stationery, greeting cards, gifts and children's products, which are sourced from all over the world. The stationery and gift manufacturing or rather supplying company, a trader, and they are procuring from sources all over and they are selling it. That's all. So it's a trade business. Companies also distribute Sunday paper, a Korean-made eco-friendly stationery designed and manufactured in Seoul. So that is another activity, manufacturing and selling of paper. This is distribution of paper and trading of other products like greeting cards, gifts, children's products, stationery, etc. So we know the line of business. Company's home currency is KRW. Now, obviously, this is something which you should know. Company's currency yuan, Korean yuan. It is also listed on the Korean stock exchange for last 20 years. So it's a well-known blue chip company probably in Korea, and its current share price is Korean yuan 23.25. You are the management accountant of this company. Directors have asked you to study this company on a value-based management. So now I highlight the word VBMS, value-based management. Remember the full form, value-based management, which is a different approach to performance management. Value-based management is an approach to performance management. Highlighting this, value-based management is an approach to performance management. What is VBMS? VBMS, value-based management system, is a philosophy, right, which starts at the top level to ensure that there is value creation, value maximization and value retention at the organizational level all across different functions. I repeat, it is called a marriage. Value-based management system is a marriage between the ideas, the philosophy which top management generates, right, with respect to its business, and successful implementation of those strategies, right, in order to achieve the vision. So value-based management system is a marriage between the idea generation by the top management and implementation of those ideas, strategies into an action plan so that you are in a position to add value to your stakeholders. That is called value-based management system. Now, in the module, we did not refer to anything called value-based management. Only in the initial class, I remembered I talked to you about value-based management system. But now this case study gives me an opportunity to discuss this concept, VBMS, value-based management system. So you can write down, I'm going slow. Value-based management system is a marriage. This is sort of my way of putting it. It is a marriage between the philosophy, idea generated by the top management, philosophy, idea generated by the top management with respect to its business, WRT with respect to its business, and successful implementation of strategies and successful implementation of those strategies at the operational level, at the execution level, successful implementation of those strategies at the operational level or at the execution level to add value to business. You will not find this definition anywhere. This is something you have to write on your own. So how nicely you articulate or express your thoughts, right? That is very important. Please understand each case study has to be dealt in both ways, financial terms and non-financial. That means how do you expand or express your thoughts in polished business English also matters. In polished business English, right? That also matters. It is not just calculation or computation. Please remember this, particularly in a case study paper like this, strategic cost management. So I repeat, value-based management system, VBMS, is a marriage between the ideas, the philosophy at the top level management with respect to its business and effective implementation of these strategies into an action plan, conversion of these strategies, action plan to reality, right? At the operational level, at the execution level, so as to provide value added products and services to the customer. This is value added products and services to the customer. This is what is value-based management system. And it is definitely an important approach, a different approach. Why different approach? Because conventionally there have been approach of EPS, DPS and MPS. So beyond this approach of performance management, we have value-based management system. So I got an opportunity, as I said, to discuss this aspect which was left out during our theoretical discussion. The directors have heard about this method, that is value-based management system, considering it a way of focusing on shareholders' interest, and in the present economic scenario, they think it to be useful for the growth of company. See, conventionally EPS, that's what I mentioned to you. Conventionally EPS and share prices were being used to assess the performance. So that was the criteria at one point of time in this organization, EPS and DPS and share price, MPS. But proposed changes are important and directors require you to have implication of the new analysis and want to convince the major investors for the future benefits. Please understand that the management is accountable to the stakeholders, particularly shareholders, not only in terms of EPS, MPS, but other parameters also, qualitative, quantitative, both, wherein they have to give sort of a satisfaction, a convincing justification for being with the business. Right? In case investors would like to continue with the business in terms of their investment in shares of the company, they should see tangible benefits, tangible future benefits, which are going to emerge or arise out of this business. So what are these tangible future benefits in terms of growth in sales, growth in profit, etc.? So some of the financial data is highlighted in front of you. A case study always will have detailed annexes, a detailed summary of some of the financials, and this financial data is mainly given to you so that you can analyze this data, interpret. Here comes reading between the lines. So you have data for 2 years, 2018-19 and 2017-18. You are given the data in Korean yuans in million, and I'm not reading out the figure, but you have the figures in front of you. Profit after interest and tax. I will just show you the increase or decrease. Profit after interest and tax has gone down. You can see from 65.38, it has gone down to 55.55. That is something which is a negative sign, you must say, because profit has reduced during the year. But of course, we don't look at profit figure in isolation. We look at certain ratios. That is profit vis-a-vis something. Then we have interest. Interest burden has increased from 8 million to 15.60 million, nearly doubled, you can see. Opening capital employed has increased from 198 to 273 million. And even closing capital has employed from 273 to 329. For example, when we calculate ROI, return on investment, at that time we will look at capital employed. So ideally, average capital employed can be taken. But here, for simplicity purpose, we take opening capital employed. into our calculation. We take into account opening capital employed for the purpose of calculation. So profit after interest and tax, you add back interest, and when you add back interest, it is net of tax. All of you know very well when you are converting PAT into NOPAT. If you remember the formula, PAT into NOPAT. I had written the formula PAT into NOPAT is converted like this: PAT plus interest net of tax. PAT plus interest, profit after interest and tax, that is PAT plus interest net of tax. That's what we discussed in the earlier class. We will get NOPAT, net operating profit after tax. Because formula for EVA, economic value added, is NOPAT minus capital charge. And capital charge is WACC, weighted average cost of capital, as applied to weighted average cost of capital as applied to capital employed. So capital employed can be taken as average capital, or for simplicity you can even take opening capital also. Now you are given capital structure. This is the financial data which is given to you in bits and pieces. Capital speaker, what is relevant from the point of view of analysis or firming up your judgment, firming up your opinion, only that much data is given to you. Debt equity ratio is 40:60. That remains same in both the years. So 40% debt and 60% equity. You are given cost of capital, KE, what we call KE, that is cost of equity. All of you are aware of this. We write this KE. You are used to these abbreviations. KE. This is cost of equity. And cost of debt is KD. That also you are aware of. KD. Use these abbreviations. So this is KD. KE is 14.20 cost of equity, which has gone up during the year. Last year it was 11.50. So that means now equity investors might have started looking at this figure as a sort of, I would say, red alert that their expectations are rising. They are expecting higher return from this company because cost of equity is going, and that is what is reflected in cost of equity. That they expect higher return from the company because they are looking at this company as a risky venture for future investments. Profit has come down. Cost of debt has increased, so they also foresee risk in this business. They may not be interested in continuing their investment in this company, so their expectation of return also has increased. All of you understand KE, cost of equity, is nothing but expected rate of return by the equity investors, and that has also gone up from 11.50 to 14.20. Right? Tax rate remains same, 30%. Now this is all financial data that is given from the financials of the company. You are given stock market information. Stock market information talks about average number of shares in the issue. You have 3.2 million shares last year and this year both. These are outstanding shares in the market. Stock market all share index is 1985 this year. Last year it was 2561. All of you understand stock market all share index is something like our Nifty 50, right? Where we have a basket of security, a basket of shares of all companies, right? So all 50 companies in different sector, manufacturing, service, mining, different sectors, different types of companies which are listed. The index is a representative of businesses of all the companies. So it is called stock market index, but it is applicable for all the shares. You can see this word, all share. See, your understanding of finance has to be very strong when you look at case studies like this. Stock market all share index is nothing but index, something like which is a barometer or which is a performance indicator, like we said Dow Jones or Nifty 50, right, where the select number of companies are there in the basket, and companies of all types, manufacturing, processing, export units, you have service providers, all those companies which are listed, the representative ones, a group of some 50, 30 companies, and you have a market index for that. So that is stock market all share index. That has reduced from 2561 last year to 1985 this year. So that means there has been a negative growth stock market index has gone down, that is not a good sign. That is not at all an encouraging sign. It is a depressing or a gloomy picture. Now you have to quantify what is the percentage decrease or percentage fall. So immediately the thought which comes to my mind when I look at these stock market indices, the thought which comes to my mind is I should calculate percentage change in the stock market index. That means to what extent there has been a reduction in the all share index from last year to this year. Percentage change will quantify the degree or the extent to which this fall in index has taken place, because that is also very important. If the percentage fall is alarming, that is a concern. If percentage fall is not alarming, it is a usual routine, then it may not be given so much of importance. See, ultimately as a management accountant, when I am looking at this data, I should have an overview of the company's business and also an understanding of various financials, various indicators of business also. It's not just company's financials, but market information is equally pertinent, equally relevant when I'm analyzing the data. So there is second index which is given, retailing sector index. This company is into retail business, trading business. So whatever index is applicable to the sector, isko bolte hai sectoral index. Sectoral index has also declined from 1408 to 1155. So look at this, there has been a decline in both the indices. But again, quantification in terms of percentage change is very relevant. To what extent this index has declined, I need to quantify. See, याद रखो हमेशा, whenever there is a data given to you like this in a crude form, right, just figures, you have to go beyond this given data and quantify something which is extra, which is over and above. Remember this, while reading the case itself, I am explaining to you what are the annexures, working notes that you will prepare, making use of this data. I have not even read the question. I know this question is on economic value added. I know that. During my 15 minutes of reading time, I have just gone through the case and I know that there is some data given and a question or the case study on EVA. मुझे मालूम है, मुझे EVA calculate करने के लिए I require NOPAT, net operating profit after tax. I require WACC. I require capital employed. Capital employed is given, WACC is not given, NOPAT is not given. So I have to prepare working note 1 for NOPAT, working note 2 for weighted average cost of capital, that is WACC. Now this thought process should start in my mind. As a student, when I approach a case study, these thoughts should linger in my mind that I have to calculate number 1 NOPAT, number 2 cost of capital, weighted average cost of capital in two different working notes, working note 1, working note 2. And all of you are well aware that working notes do deserve marks and credit points in the exam. So step-by-step calculations you show. So even if final answer goes wrong, even if your final judgment goes wrong, at least for some steps, you may be able to secure some marks. So in your own interest, whatever thoughts come in your mind, I always tell this to my students, whatever thoughts come to your mind, please plot those thoughts on paper. Show the workings, detailed workings as much as possible. You never know which working is relevant, not relevant from the point of view of credit. Credit means evaluate credit. So it is better that you highlight each and everything in your working note and show the calculations with step-by-step workings in detail. This is my general guideline or guidance to all of you in approaching a question on case study. Right? So now reading this data itself, I know I have to calculate 1, NOPAT, 2, I have to calculate weighted average cost of capital, 3, I have to calculate the percentage change in the market index, that is market all share index, and percentage change in retailing sector index. ये चार चीज मुझे कैलकुलेट करना ही पड़ेगा. Then only and of course EVA for 2 years, and then only I will be in a position to comment on how has been the performance of the company over last 2 years and whether the future trend is encouraging or whether it is depressing, and whether shareholders should be encouraged to invest in the company or should management accountant report that yes, the future looks gloomy and therefore no point in investing in the company. So you have to take a stand finally, and you have to give the recommendation and course of action to the top management. Also remember, the management accountant's recommendations, as the name indicates, are only recommendation. Whether to put those recommendations into practice or not, whether to implement those recommendations or not, is left to the discretion of the top management. Top management will brainstorm those recommendations, will do the cost benefit analysis once again by doing the brainstorming at in their internal meetings, and will finally take the call. We management accountants, we have no control over the final decision taken by the board, by the top management. But we facilitate the top management in decision making by providing them all inputs, by providing them all the figures, facts and figures with our detailed analysis, detailed annexures, and that is important. Remember each and every word or point which I have emphasized. Though I am taking this case study, whatever I am speaking just now is applicable to all the case studies in the general interest of exam, in the general interest of students from exam point of view. What is the question? Assess the performance of this company using EVA, economic value added, and analyze the results. So that is very important. Analyze the results. Analyze the results relative to those of earning per share and share price. So this I am highlighting. This is the requirement. You have to calculate EVA. That is also the requirement. And you are allowed to make suitable assumptions. It is given in a case study. Always understand a case study is open-ended case study. A case study is subject to certain assumptions also. Each and every piece of information may not be given in a case. Again, these are general guidelines we should keep at the back, which you should keep at the back of your mind. So far, 2 case studies which we have taken, they were not case studies at all. They were caselets. Small condensed version of a case study, that is a caselet. It was a case scenario, right? And these case scenarios are in the form of objective questions. You have seen in TBL, we have highlighted in an objective manner that yes, this is people, this is planet, this is profit. That's all. With slight justification or added explanation here and there. So that the scope was very limited. But this is a detailed case study where you have enough scope to read between the lines, assume certain things if required, wherever required, and therefore the case study will always mention that assumptions, if any, should be clearly stated. I think the case is in front of you, so you can start calculating economic value added. By this time, I'll put the financials in front of you. You can take a pic. Let this pic be there in front of. Please take a pic of this page. All of you, please take a pic of this page. So these financials are in front of you, and you have to calculate 4-5 things I told you. Number 1, NOPAT, net operating profit after tax. I will also open a sheet wherein I will show you the working step by step. At least the formulae I will highlight. Then you have to calculate the weighted average cost of capital. Then you have to calculate percentage change in all share index between 2 years, from year to year, percentage change in retail sector index, and then you have to calculate EVA. Of course, you have to calculate EPS is not given. Yes, so you have to calculate EPS also. There is a highlight in the question that you have to calculate EPS, earning per share. You know, earning per share is profit after tax divided by number of shares. So you are given profit after tax 55.55 million divided by 3.2 million. That will give you average number of shares. That will give you EPS. So based on EPS also you can comment something, and then compare and contrast 2 different techniques of performance measurement. One technique is conservative technique, the traditional technique of EPS, MPS, etc. You are also given information about MPS, market price of the share, which has fallen from 24.40 yuan to 22.50 Korean yuan. So price also has gone down. So the entire picture looks very gloomy or depressing. But is it really so? That is what you have to analyze. So reading between the lines, analysis, calculation of numbers is very important. I think all of you have understood this case now thoroughly. You have taken the quick peek also. So please attempt the parts, the working notes which I told you. Meanwhile, I will write down the key formulae, particularly for NOPAT, etc., in the same sheet at the bottom. So you have over here NOPAT. NOPAT is calculated like this. That day we have seen it is PAT. NOPAT is equal to PAT plus interest net of tax. By net of tax also we discussed in the last class that interest is beyond the control of divisional manager. Interest is beyond the control of operating manager. So operating manager should not be appraised, should not be evaluated on the basis of interest. Interest is outside his purview and outside his control. Therefore, interest we add back. This is net operating profit after tax. That is profit before interest and after tax. And interest obviously, therefore, initially when you worked out PAT, you had deducted interest and therefore you had taken advantage of tax also. Interest is a tax deductible expenditure. So since you had deducted interest originally while working out PAT, this was a question asked by one of the students in the question link also, which I am responding, that interest, why sir are you adding interest net of tax? Because initially when we arrived at PAT, you had deducted interest, and when you deducted interest, you had taken benefit of tax advantage on account of interest. So that tax advantage on account of interest is no longer available to you because you are not considering interest, and therefore interest is net of tax. I hope I have addressed the query of this student who asked why sir we are adding interest net of tax. Then we have another formula which is for EVA. EVA is equal to, we say, NOPAT minus capital charge. All of you are conversant with this formula, but you can take down this also and jot down in your notebook. EVA is always equal to NOPAT, that is equal to NOPAT minus capital charge. And capital charge is nothing but WACC, weighted average cost of capital, into capital employed. So we have NOPAT minus into bracket WACC into capital employed. You can see this. Capital charge is nothing but WACC, weighted average cost of capital, into capital employed. That is called capital charge. Charge on your capital, various sources of finance. Your basic fundamentals of strategic financial management is expected that it is clear, and therefore you are able to apply that in the given case. So NOPAT minus capital charge will give you EVA. I also asked you to calculate percentage change in the indices, and percentage change in the indices you can calculate simply by finding out the difference between current year minus previous year over previous year. I repeat, current year CY. So we say percentage change. Percentage change. This is known, but still I am writing percentage change in the index. That is equal to index for current year CY I am writing minus index for previous year. The difference between the two indices divided by index for previous year. Divided by index for previous year. So this is percentage change in the index. All of you are simultaneously working out, I am assuming. So therefore I am writing the formula here as a backup. So you can take down also and you can make use of these formulae. Percentage change in index is index for current year minus index for previous year divided by base year's index, that is index for previous year. Of course multiplied by 100 because it is in percentage. Yeah? And that will give you percentage change in the index. What else? You have to calculate EPS. Same applies to percentage change in EPS also, percentage change in market price also. Can work out like this. I am not writing here. Percentage change in EPS is in EPS for current year minus EPS for previous year divided by EPS for previous year, and so on. Same thing for market price as well. What else? You have to calculate EPS. Now you are final students, so I don't have to write, but still EPS is equal to PAT, that is profit after tax, interest and tax, divided by number of outstanding shares. Number of outstanding shares. That is EPS. So making use of these formulae, you can very well work out the key figures and thereby EVA. and then we can have a narrative commentary, a narrative discussion on the same. Here I would also like to highlight that between the two indices, if you ask me which index is a better representative of the performance of the company, or which is applicable for comparative analysis of performance of the company, which index? Is it a sectoral index or is it a market all share index? Then between the two, I will say where the company's performance is deteriorating, company's performance is depressing, it looks depressing, it looks gloomy. In such a case, obviously, we go by the sectoral index for the only reason that sectoral index at least takes care of all companies which fall in the category of the same business segment, which all fall in the same sector or same industry. That means if I belong to a pharma sector, then I will compare the index applicable to the pharma industry, pharma sector. Why will I be concerned with all share market index? Because all share market index will comprise of companies in manufacturing sector, export oriented units, financial service companies, all representative companies which are like top 50 or top 30 will, and their market price will get reflected in the all share market index. So all share market index is important, but between the two, if there is a conflict or if we have to decide which one is better or preferred, I would say it is the sectoral index that is the, in this case, a retail sector index is more representative than, of course, the all share index when you talk about performance evaluation of a company whose financials are showing a depressing picture. I think this commentary or this kind of a background is more than enough now. You can look at the approach. I have given you the solution of an approach. Just quick working notes I will highlight. You are given profit after interest and tax. You are given added interest, net of tax at 30%. So you can calculate interest net of tax. For example, if you do on the calculator, you are given interest figure is given as 15.60. So 15.60 multiplied by 70%. The tax 1 minus T. 1 minus T is tax rate is 30%. So you multiply 15.60 by 1 minus T. 1 minus T is 1 minus 30%. So 70% of 15.60. आप वो करोगे तो आपका आ जाएगा फिगर 10.92. Yeah? And that is interest net of tax at 30%. So ideally, I should have added 15 point something, 60. But now I'm adding only 10.92 because tax benefit I'm taking away, I'm doing away with because I'm no longer considering tax benefit on account of interest. Since interest is added back. That is the logic. Whatever you are doing for the current year is applicable for previous year also. So you get NOPAT, net operating profit after tax. Any doubts you have, you can ask me in the question link. Net operating profit after tax is 66.47 and 70.98. We have converted PAT into NOPAT. Now we have looked at operating capital employed and not the average capital employed. But students are free to assume that you have taken into account average capital employed for normalizing the data. Why do we take into account average? Because between opening and closing, both may give a lopsided picture. So it is better to take always an average. But here for simplicity, as I told you, it is opening capital employed that has been taken into account. Certain assumptions are made, which are also highlighted. See, in any case study analysis, you should at least highlight one or two or three assumptions. Not irrelevant assumptions, but relevant assumptions which are needed. The first assumption is there are no non-cash expenses to adjust the profit. See, by writing this, you are showing to the examiner that you are aware that PAT is converted into NOPAT, obviously by adding back also non-cash expenses. Right? We are converting into cash profit. So cash profit ke liye we have to add back non-cash expenses to adjust the profit. But there are no such non-cash expenses. There is nothing like depreciation, amortization, write-off, no such book entry, no such book adjustments. All that accounting knowledge what you have acquired, somewhere in one line you should highlight that we assume that no non-cash expenses to adjust the profit. Therefore, we are not making any adjustment for non-cash expenses. Right? We assume all our cash expenses. Next, economic depreciation and accounting depreciation are equal. Yeah, all of you are again aware when we calculate NOPAT at that time, we have to sometimes make adjustment for economic depreciation, which is based on economic useful life of the asset, which is based on the utility of the asset. Asset has been worn out because it has been in use over the years for different purposes. So now that asset needs to be depreciated on a higher scale, we no longer want to continue this asset in the books. So accounting treatment given for depreciation may be different from the economic depreciation based on the utility, economic life of the asset. So here we assume for simplicity both are equal. Now all these things, since the case study is silent on these aspects, you have to highlight these by way of assumptions. See, a bright student, an intelligent student, when he or she writes this kind of assumption, gets better acknowledgement by the examiner. Obviously, will be able to appreciate the approach of the student. And no lease exists for capitalization. So that means there are no finance leases. There is no capitalization which needs to be done at the fag end of the lease period or in between during the year, etc. So there are no treatments, no adjustments for lease transactions. That is also very clearly stated in the assumption. Now I am not saying all three assumptions may click you in the exam, but whatever can click or occur to you based on the given case analysis, you can highlight. Better to always write the assumption, mainly to showcase that you are not missed out, you are not omitted these aspects while interpreting the case. So we have worked out NOPAT, that is net operating profit after tax. Now we work out cost of capital. I have shown this for all of you. You have been shown the workings here, you can see. WACC is calculated for 2018-19 and the answer comes to 10.76. See whether you got this. 60% is equity and 40% is debt. So you have cost of equity 14.20 and cost of debt, that is cost of debt is higher, but we have taken 1 minus t. KD is always post-tax. Remember this also. Right? Sometimes students make mistake in calculation of this. KD given to you in the absence of information, we assume it is pre-tax. KD given to you, cost of debt in the absence of information, we assume as pre-tax. But still we will refer to the original case, the data which is given to you. See the original case. It was highlighted in the case that debt is pre-tax rate. KD is pre-tax. If it is categorically given pre-tax, now you have no choice or no option but to calculate KD post-tax. That means 8% into 1 minus t. Tax rate is 30%, so 8 into 70%, 8 sevens are 56, 5.60%. KD post-tax is 5.60%. All of you get this. And 6% last year, so 6% multiplied by 70%, again 1 minus t, so 4.2%. So you have 8 sevens are 56, 5.60, and here it is 6 sevens are 42, 4.20. So that is how we have calculated KD post-tax. You can see this. KD post-tax 5.6 and 4.2. This is KD post-tax. And that is how you can calculate WACC for current year, which is 10.76, and WACC for last year is 8.58. This is 10.76. You can check the calculations on the calculator and see whether you have understood this. Don't accept anything on the face value. You must calculate each and every figure yourself whenever you are studying from the module or any resource material. You must check the calculations yourself and don't accept the figures blindly. So VAT for the current year has gone up 10.76%, and now we calculate EVA. EVA is no VAT. I had written the formula minus capital employed into WACC. So it is 66.47, that is no VAT, which we calculated in the above working note. Minus capital employed, we have taken 273.58 opening capital at current year, beginning of the current year, and of course opening capital at the beginning of last year, multiplied by WACC, what we calculate. So you have seen 10.76% we have considered, 10.76, and here we have considered 8.58%. 8.50 asked me. 8.58 and 10.76 we have multiplied by capital employed, and we got EVA as Korean yuan 53.96 billion. It is a positive figure, of course, in both the years, but the difference is last year it was 53.96 billion. It has drastically dropped down, reduced to 37.03 million. So there is a reduction in EVA during the current year. Now these things will have to be quantified again in percentage also. So I told you even EPS you will have to quantify in percentage. EPS which you had calculated. There is working note 2 which talks about EPS. Current year's EPS is given to you. Last year's EPS is also given to you. So EPS has dropped down by 15.03%. Check the calculation. It is current year EPS 17.36 minus 20.43 divided by 17.36 negative ही आएगा. So there is a decline in EPS. Similarly, the market indices have all declined. So share price has declined. So this working note 3 is on the performance indicators of the market information. So you categorize these or classify these working notes into three parts. Working note 1 is for calculation of EVA. Working note number 2 is for calculation of percentage change in EPS. And working note 3 is for calculation of all market information, percentage change in the market indices. तो आप देख सकते हो कैपिटलाइजेशन वेटेड इंडेक्स ऑफ ऑल कॉमन शेयर्स, दैट इज अ वेटेड एवरेज वेटेड इंडेक्स ऑफ ऑल कॉमन शेयर्स. Last year it was 2561. It has reduced to 19.85. So that means it has gone down by 22.49%. Very alarming decrease. Very alarming decrease. Whereas retailing sector index has gone down by 17.97%. So that means current year 1408 and last year current year it is 1155 and last year 1408. So retailing sector index has gone down by 18% around, and market all common shares index has declined by 22.49%. I told you very clearly that for the purpose of decision making, performance evaluation, whenever there is a tie, whenever there is a conflict, which index is more relevant or more appropriate, we should always go by the sectoral index or the index applicable to the business segment of that company. Index applicable to the business segment of that company, and that is what is retailing sector index in this case. So we are more concerned with 18% rather than 22.5%. Then it is not that alarming. Of course there is a decline, but it is not that alarming. And if you look at a company's market price of the share, it has declined only by 7.80%. This is absolutely a very positive trend, I would say, where market price no doubt has declined. There is a recessionary trend in the economy. Overall economy, there is a recessionary trend. The sectoral index has gone down. The all companies' market price index has gone down, but the decline in the company's share price is very minimal vis-a-vis sectoral index and definitely vis-a-vis all share index. So no need of comparing this with all share index. That is what I will suggest to all of you. When you are looking at these percentages now, that point quickly comes to your mind, not interested in looking at this 22.49. You should look at 17.97 versus minus 7.79. That's all. We should not look at this all share price index. So these were the three annexures, working notes, what I say, which we have prepared, and that will enable us now to do the commentary or enable us to do the analysis and highlight the same. The analysis is given, all figures are in front of you. You have calculated EVA also. EVA has declined. So the solution is given to you. This is sort of an analysis. Pay attention to this. Performance of Korean Limited has gone down. No wonder. See, you can highlight this in bullet points also. Right? If you don't want to write in a narrative form, in a paragraph form, you can highlight in bullet points. That also will catch the attention of the valuer. Right? Will catch the attention, and you will, of course, score in a better manner, because then you know that you are writing one by one after the other, the bullet points. To say the performance of the company has gone down because EPS has gone down. By how much percent? 15.03%. And that is my request to all of you. Your commentary or analysis of your findings should always quote the figures which are not given in the question. I repeat, your analysis of the data given in the question, right, should always contain the figures which are not given in the question. जो क्वेश्चन में फिगर मौजूद नहीं है वो कैलकुलेट करके आपको एनालिसिस में देना है. प्लीज रिमेंबर दिस. The figures which are not obvious, which are not apparent, which are not obvious, which are not apparent on the face of the question, you should do the calculation at the back end, and show those calculations and quote those figures, statistics, percentages, etc. in your commentary. That will be appreciated rather than highlighting the figures which are given. See, an ordinary student who doesn't know the analysis may just say that earning per share has gone down from Korean yuan so and so to Korean yuan so and so. He may quote the absolute figures which are already given in the question. Now ask this question to yourself, what type of value addition are you doing when you are quoting the same figures which are given in the question in your analysis also? What kind of value addition you are doing? No value addition at all. So do not quote the same to same figures which are given in the question. उस figure के पीछे और कुछ back end काम करो, कुछ calculation करो, bring out some new statistics or figures and then highlight in your analysis. This is applicable. This whatever I am saying just now is applicable in all the case analysis questions. Though I am sharing this for the first time with all of you because it is with respect to this case study, but it is applicable to all the case study questions in this paper, strategic cost management. So here earning per share has gone down by 15.03%, and obviously we are chartered accountants, so obviously we will quote, right, and we will give the immediate reference and cross-reference of our relevant working notes. So I will say W2 working note where we have highlighted percentage change in earning per share. It has gone down. This indicates that company being not in favor of investors. So here I can make one paragraph and say that yes, as far as traditional techniques are concerned, conventional performance measurement techniques are concerned, this company is not very lucrative for the investors because EPS has gone down by 15.03%. But, and that is however, but share price seems to be with decline of only 7.79%. This figure also you have calculated yourself. It was not given in the question. So anything which you calculate over and above what is given in the question is appreciated by the valuer. Time and again I am emphasizing on this. So 7.80% decline in the market price relative to, that relation is important, as compared to fall in the retailing sector of 17.97% and stock market down by 22.49%. This is given calculated in working note 3. So again the reference is given. So this is the second point you are driving, that the market price of company share has declined only by 8% vis-a-vis decline in the market index, all price index, all share index and also the sectoral index. The sector comparison is more material for the performance of Korean Limited as stock market all share index is composed of data from financial, manufacturing and other industries, whereas retailing sector comparison is specific. This is the point which I was explaining to you or driving, that when you compare the sectoral index, that is more representative because it consists of all companies in that business segment only. All companies in that business segment only. And therefore, all share market index may not be as relevant as the sectoral index. This is the point you are driving. In all share market index, you have manufacturing companies, financial companies, you have other types of industries, all types are covered. That's why all share index. And particularly when the market is showing a recessionary trend, when the market price is declining, all the more you should look at the retailing sector index. And that will encourage, that is an encouraging point to the shareholders. That is our conclusion, that is an encouraging point to the shareholders to continue to hold their shares in the company. Because look at the market has collapsed by 18%, 22.50%, but our company has performed down by only 8%. So damage is not much what you shareholders are thinking about. Of course, it is a declining phase, but the damage is not very serious. You can still hold on and have patience in the company and its potential future. So that is sort of a sigh of relief or sort of a comfort we are giving to the stakeholders. Not directly, but by submitting our report to the management. In addition, now we talk about EV also. We have calculated EVA, so you can make that as a third para or the third point, and that is EVA has fallen from 1718 to 1819, but still it has remained positive. See, I can make my report positive. I can make my report look gloomy also. I want to make my report very positive, and therefore I say that EVA has declined, but still it shows a positive sign. And that means there has been a value addition. Company continues to create value for its shareholders even in the bearish market. See the punchline. This is the punchline in the conclusion, that company still continues to add value, create value. We started with VBMS, Value-Based Management System, VBMS. That is value creation, value addition, and value maximization and value retention. You remember these three words: value creation, value maximization, and value retention. All three combined together is value-based management system. So since company's focus is now changing from traditional performance measures like EPS, MPS, etc. to contemporary performance measures like value-based management system, all the more we recommend that company continues to add value, create value for the shareholders even in the bearish market. Therefore, finally you should give the conclusion, it is a good investment option even in the falling market. It is a good investment option even in the falling market. Get this. This is the final conclusion, which you can highlight in your final answer. So this particular approach, particularly a detailed commentary, is divided into 4 paragraphs. Paragraph 1, traditional measures, EPS going down. Paragraph 2, market indices going down, but company's market price per share not declined so much. Paragraph 3, on declining EVA, but still it is positive, and therefore it is an encouraging trend even in bearish market. And point number 4 is final conclusion, where it is a good investment option even during falling market. So I have ended the case study analysis over here. This is the final conclusion which you show along with the working notes or annexures. If you are methodical in your approach, I repeat, if you are methodical in your approach, in your presentation of the answer, if you are very structured in your thoughts, methodical in your approach, and a good presenter of your answer, then I don't think you should have any difficulty in answering any question on the case study analysis. The only point which you have to take care is understanding the topic thoroughly. If the case study is on triple bottom line, I must thoroughly understand, yes, this case involves the concept of TBL, and therefore my knowledge must be sound on the concept of TBL. And same applicable to other concepts also. If knowledge is sound, if I am thorough in my concept, then I can always apply them and express in my own style and language in paragraphs and present it well when I do the case study analysis. Friends, thank you for your patient listening. I would say this case study gave me an opportunity to explain beyond case study also. That means how to approach a question of case study beyond numbers in qualitative terms. So this example of EVA, of course, was easy for you to understand because you have been calculating EVA. But my objective of taking this case was to go beyond the numbers and highlight the way in which you should present your answer while approaching a case study. And most important point is you should identify the topic on which case study is based. And that will happen in first 15 minutes when you read the question paper. आपको टॉपिक ही समझ में नहीं आया, if topic covered is say X and you start referring to Y, then that is something which is totally considered as wrong, right? And that means your approach has gone wrong. You are in the wrong direction. That should not happen. If topic is X, you should concentrate on X. Thank you, friends. We will meet again in the next class on additional case studies relating to